Hi chat. How's it going today? One sec, I think the music's a little loud. Don't worry chat, you won't hear
How's everybody doing?
the music for long. We will be going into court stuff.
We're apparently going into like a rage-bait court proceeding.
Yeah, I have I've seen this. Ava has not. I basically told Ava that this would make them upset. Shit, I got the hiccups.
That's what happens when you unhinge your jaw and eat your food all in one bite.
Oh, so I actually looked this up the other day.
You can't do that. It's dangerous.
I had a common problem with I would eat my fries cold and then I would get the hiccups. And apparently it's a very common thing if you eat fries cold to give you hiccups. Something about the chemicals.
That makes sense.
Hi Daybreaker Ryan, hi McSkittles, hi Baked Buddhist, hi Nerdy Texan Accountant, hi Not a Glowy. That name is suspicious, Not
That's
a Glowy.
That's exactly what a Glowy would say. Yeah, we're both onto you.
Having fried chicken? I'm having a burger. Because I'm a fat boy. An American.
Oh my god, everybody's having great food.
Time for law? Yes, it is Space Marine. But I kind of wanted Ava to see this case. Because I've gone over it, like, myself in private. And to me, it was just probably the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. You're not fat, you're healthy.
Like, really, just the most ridiculous thing you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like, court-wise.
Yep.
Wow. Okay, Jesus, that's...
It is not as bad as the Karen one. The Karen one, where they were trying to convict her for murder.
Well,
or
it's
something.
not as explosive, probably,
Yeah.
but like I imagine procedurally.
I think the judge is almost worse.
About, which again, the judge is worse. Really, wow.
At least in this particular instance, because of what he allows, what not only he allows to happen, but what he does. I think this case is basically a guaranteed mistrial. Like, I can't imagine somebody putting in for a mistrial and anybody saying no. But I'm letting everybody pile in real quick, get everybody time to get here. Sorry we're a little late, by the way, chat. I did not sleep at all and didn't wake up till 1:30, so... How was it, EP boy?
It was my fault, chat. I got the Project Zomboid server running. It's not breaking, and people are losing their fucking mind.
Yeah. Oh, Cardinal Crimson, thank you for becoming a member. Welcome to the ripples in my puddle. But yeah, Ava started a Project Zomboid server, so we've all been playing on that, and I think everybody's getting a little addicted. A little bit.
I'm actually happy because again, I probably like put in 60 hours a week of coding for like almost a full year making the server, and then I shelved it before I made Elfpire Eva.
Yeah. So now
so
Ava's
I did not act like I thought this was a failed project, that this was nothing, and then all of a sudden you launched. So I'm like, oh guys, I don't know if it'll work, but I could try launching the server, and it worked. Holy shit.
Yeah, we're having fun with it.
Yeah.
So, Project Zomboid is Ava's autism, and I think Ava can tell that Mabinogi is a bit my autism, because Mabinogi had an update, or is going to have an update tomorrow, and I've been telling everybody about it, and as soon as I do, I have to go through like the whole history of the game with them. Because it's just like, I know I don't play it as much, but I still love it so much. It was very formative for me. Heard of the game Vane? It's more or less an FPS version of Project Zomboid.
What's it called?
Vane. Vane on
The
Steam.
Vane. No, I've never heard of that.
Is it an FPS version of Project Zomboid, or is it more like just a 7 Days to Die? I don't know, it looks like it might be a bit more in-depth. It's still a demo, though. What's up? I don't know what I'm doing. Good luck, Akko.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I can't spend this time training people. I'll spend some time after stream, helping people out. But
Yeah. I mean, I can help a little bit. I know the basics, but Ava's the smart one and all the good stuff. And Ava knows what the mods do. Although, I think I've learned, because you added that one mod that you can right-click something and see what it crafts into. So I can see like what the important items craft into, like the solar panels.
Yes.
So, I know this is completely off topic, I'm sorry chat. Solar panels, do you just place them down and they just give whatever building they're attached to, like, power?
No. So there's a whole point. And I actually really like the solar panel thing because it stopped working in build 40, but I got it working again for my server because I actually use solar panels on my boat. I had about 400 watts of solar feeding into a 250 amp hour battery bank, which would give me about a day's worth or night's worth of energy collected in the battery bank over the day. Anyway, what you have to do is you have to get a battery bank rack. You have to get batteries, whether it be car batteries or whatever, and make a battery bank.
So
and from there, you can actually link up the solar panels. Yeah, the solar panels to the battery bank, and then the solar panels will actually charge the batteries that are loaded in the battery bank.
Okay, I get it.
And that will give a generator's area worth of squares electricity.
Got you. But chat, I think me and Ava are gonna go ahead and dive into this. So I found somebody who linked up all the cases for this together without like a bunch of excessive in-between commentary. So the original video I had sent Ava, I think, was like 2 hours long, but I found one that's just 55 minutes, and it's just the case. None of the additional back and forth. So, thank you to this channel, JTizzo, for having this all linked up together. It's much appreciated. And are you ready to be upsetty spaghetti, Ava?
Yes.
Also, I shouldn't back down here so we're not super.
All right, Tim, also a rollover crash in Superior Township killed.
So this, by the way, is kind of the progenitor of what happened, or like how we ended up in a case here. So I am glad they included this, so people have a bit of context.
Kills 2 teenage girls and sends a third to the hospital in critical condition. Topping our news on this late edition tonight, that accident.
Oh, so I want to point this out, by the way. It will be relevant later.
Also, a rollover crash in Superior Township kills 2 teenage girls and sends a third to the hospital in critical condition.
Notice where this car is in relation to the road, and how much is in between car and the road. All these trees and stuff. I do think this is relevant, and we will see why later.
Okay.
Topping our news on this late edition tonight, that accident shutting down Superior Road between Huron River Drive and Getty's for hours.
Mara McDonald is at the Washtenaw County Sheriff's Office tonight. Mara, police believe the teens were involved in a hit and run prior to losing control of their truck.
Kimberly Devin, yes, that's what the preliminary information from the Sheriff's Department suggests, that the girls in this truck hit another car and didn't stop. The wreck took hours to investigate and finally clear what's left of what.
Yeah, so to make sure we all understand what she said and what had happened, the teens in the car that crashed hit somebody else. And then they fled. They didn't hit them and run off the road. They hit them, and then they tried to flee from the scene, and that's when they crashed.
What the three teens were driving appears to be a pickup truck. Police say they know speed was a factor, but they also wonder whether these railroad tracks are what caused them to lose control.
We haven't had a really bad accident in a while, but it's a spot where people really just like to fly on the road. It's a 40-mile-an-hour road, and people all the time, they're flying 50, 60 miles an hour on this road. Neighbors like Ryan say people are constantly speeding down this stretch of Superior Road, and if they hit the tracks just right, there can be problems. I've witnessed people get air on these tracks. If they were going fast either direction, they could easily have gotten airborne and lost control that way. What ultimately caused them to lose control is under investigation, but preliminarily, this is what the sheriff's investigation looks like. They believe the teens got into a fender bender with another driver prior to this and did not stop, instead driving away fast. The other driver tried to catch up with them, but by the time that driver found them, they'd gone off the road through a ditch, flipping over. The Sheriff's Department says two of the girls, 18 and 19, were dead at the scene, and a third, a 15-year-old, was rushed to the hospital in critical condition.
So that's kind of the basis for our case today and what is going on.
Gotcha.
It's the progenitor for how we ended up there. We will explain what the case is when we get into it.
On September 2nd.
Also, yes, by the way, chat, this is this Tizzo's person's channel. I will, after the stream, leave it in the description because I am using their video which they collected together. Thank you very much for having it collected.
2nd, 2022, John Torres was charged with 2 counts of reckless driving causing death, more than 1 year after a tragic accident took the lives of 2 young women. After 15 hearings spanning 14 months, Mr. Torres entered a no-contest plea to 1 count of leaving the scene of a property damage accident on November 20th, 2023. Under Michigan law, the crime of reckless driving causing death.
Sorry, I was muted. Yes.
Oh, no worries.
They're going to explain why they tried to charge him, and you're going to see why he got to plead to such like a lower case. So, chat, he was originally charged with, go back a bit, 2 counts of reckless driving causing death. And it got pled down to leaving the scene of a property damage accident. So that's a huge jump, pretty much. And that kind of already tells you where the prosecutors were when they were coming up with their charges. They charged the man who got hit, yes.
Plea to 1 count of leaving the scene of a property damage accident on November 20th, 2023. Under Michigan law, the crime of reckless driving causing death requires each of the following elements to be proven beyond a reasonable doubt. The defendant was driving a motor vehicle. The defendant drove the motor vehicle in willful or wanton disregard for the safety of persons or property. Willful or wanton disregard means more than simple carelessness, but does not require proof of an intent to cause harm. It means knowingly disregarding the possible risks to the safety of people or property. The defendant's operation of the vehicle caused the death of the victim. To cause the death, the defendant's operation of the vehicle must have been a factual cause of the death, that is, but for the defendant's operation of the vehicle, the death would not have occurred. In addition, death must have been a direct and natural result of operating the vehicle.
It does call the case of the people versus John Torres. Your name, sir?
A little, okay, very bizarre wording there. And just the wording at the end of that one just seemed a little off to me because the vehicle had to be the natural cause of the the vehicle isn't natural, nor was what happened natural. There's no way a vehicle can cause what is defined as a quote-unquote natural death. Just made it a little funny to me, but
I'm stupid. It is weird,
I think
but even with
you're muted again.
yeah, even with the weird wording, I think we can make a determination that it's not applicable to this case. Judge Simpson again.
But yeah.
Yeah, so I was
because the other person's still alive, right?
one of them is the one of the teens.
Okay, well then okay.
So one of the teens is, and the other driver is still alive. He was not involved in the wreck at all.
Well, that's bizarre.
Counsel, you want to state your appearance?
Good afternoon, Judge. My name is Joshua Van Lon. I'm standing in for the attorney of record, Mr. Brian Daly, on behalf of Mr. Torres.
All right. Have, Mr. Torres, have you read the pre-sentence report in this case?
No, I haven't.
Counsel, do you know if, go ahead. Okay.
Mr. Torres, the conversation we just had when I got off of Zoom and I spoke with you about what was in the report, do you remember that?
Yeah, vaguely I did. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, I've talked to him about it. Yes.
Okay. Go ahead, Ms. Blair.
Yes, Your Honor. I would just like to indicate to the court that the deceased victims' mothers are present and they would like to address the court prior to sentencing.
All right, very good.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. I'm Rochelle Wilson from the Prosecuting Attorney's Office, Victim Advocate. I've been asked to read the statement into the record.
All right, go ahead.
Thank you, Judge. Victim impact statement for the loss of Alexis Hinton and Patience Lund. Coming up with words for this particular statement was considerably more difficult than we imagined it would be. How do you put a metric or a value on life, on 2 or 3 lives? If we're being honest, it feels...
I would like to remind people that we are currently in court for the count of leaving the scene of an accident. And they are letting them give victim impact statements. At this point, the other charges have already been dropped. They are not on the table anymore.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Why is
this happening?
That is how we were starting this, is with the victim impact statements.
What? Did I miss? Okay. This is just happening despite the relevant charges that would make these victim impact statements relevant. Like, those were dropped, but they're still making these statements.
Yes.
That's okay, bizarre, weird, but I'm not angry yet. Continue, I guess.
Feels like they slipped through the fingers of our society, and it's taken us to a dark place. In a perfect world, we would have all the answers. We would know why John Torres was chasing our girls. It would never bring us peace, but we could find a way out of the gloom and the shadows that the unknown tends to cast. Accidents happen every day. But
what the fuck is this statement?
For contributing to what happened on August 2nd, 2021?
Don't worry, it gets worse.
This is the unfortunate side of perception and how subjective it can be depending on one's viewpoint. But as big of an injustice as it was not to have a higher severity of charges, it would have been an even greater insult if the max sentence wasn't applied here. Thank you, Judge.
What? Excuse. This is a bench trial, right? There's not a jury here, is there?
It's a bench trial, and you heard her specifically. They've already acknowledged that the other charges aren't on the table right now. She said it's disappointing that there is not greater charges, so it would be terrible if you didn't give him the max sentence.
Okay, now I'm starting to feel anger flare up a little bit. Like, these people did not need to make these statements. This did not even need to happen. And victim impact statements can be made on a bench trial, but it's kind of weird because, again, if you're doing with a bench trial, you're not appealing to emotion. You're appealing to the specificity, the specificity of the law, and the judge to be able to discern that. Jury, sure, this is something that you would do if the charges were relevant, but they're not. So what is happening?
Yeah. Also, we're gonna get to it later, chat. But to clarify, he is accused and he has admitted to, after they pulled away to run from him, he followed them. And he was, at the time he was following them, he was also calling police to tell police, hey, these people hit me and now they're just like bolting. But at some point, while following them, he just stopped and he's basically like, whatever, I'm not gonna, like, they're speeding, I'm not gonna catch them or anything, and like, I'm not gonna be able to do anything even if I could. And shortly after he stopped following them, they ran off the road. And they are basically saying the fact he followed them caused them to speed, which caused them to run off the road.
I see what's happening. I don't... Jesus Christ, that's gonna be...
Come up to the stand.
However, to point out, that is not charges he is accused of in this trial anymore. Those charges have been dropped already.
No, and that's what makes it even... Yeah.
So now the only charge is that in the original fender bender...
He's really being charged with what what they did.
Yeah. The only charge now is that he had the original fender bender, and he left the scene of that fender bender before the police showed up to, like, take statements. That is the only current charge on the paper.
I see what they're doing. So what's happening here is he got in touch with the police, he's following these people, but at one point he's fucking done, right? And he gives up.
Yeah.
They are charging him with failure to do anything here. Like, they're mad that they gave up.
A little bit, yeah.
That's what's happening here. Yeah, that's what's happening.
Because now they've got him in like a middle section to where factually they can't say he caused the accident because he just didn't. And even if he was following them all the way to the end, I would be hard-pressed to say he caused it, unless he himself was also, like, speeding and getting up on them.
I mean, his actions and the fact that, this is the cops angry that he did not fucking put himself at risk in speed to maintain contact with them so they could actually catch these guys. And so instead of not being able to get these guys, they're going to go after this guy. This is completely inappropriate.
Counsel, is there anything you or your client want to say before I do impose sentence?
Yes, if you don't mind, Judge, thank you. And first off, it's not lost on me the fact that there are families there that lost their children. And I've been to your court a couple of times about this case, and the families have been there, and they've been respectful to me, and they've been respectful to Mr. Torres. So I want to make sure I make that clear. And I mean no disrespect in the way that I advocate for my client. I know you know me, Judge, and I know you know that, but I want to make sure they understand that. This is a case where the prosecution themselves dropped the charges on the reckless driving causing death. My client pled to a failing to stop at a property damage accident. There's not a victim to the failing to stop at a property damage accident. The evidence is what it is about what happened that day, and it is sad what happened. It really is. But he's not here because of a reckless driving causing death. He's here because he failed to stop at a property damage accident. And Judge, I'd ask that you sentence him for that. I mean, to ask for jail time, even the recommendation from probation, it just seems, I mean, that we're linking two things that aren't linked. I mean, this is not, Mr. Torres never would have entered a plea to something that put him at fault for this accident or responsible for this accident. This isn't the accident we're talking about. The accident that he failed to stop for is the rear end collision that happened when he was struck from behind with the truck. It wasn't failing to stop for the accident that resulted in these girls' death. It wasn't that at all. The plea was based on the accident that happened before that. And so, again, I can't state enough that it was painful to read the police report and to see what happened as well for me, and I feel bad for the families. But Mr. Torres isn't here being sentenced for that, Judge. So I would ask that you sentence him to fines and costs, as you would with a failing to stop in a PD accident.
So to clarify, the attorney made a fantastic point of it's literally not the case, like that we're talking about today. There's no reason for the quote-quote victims to be here, because by definition of the current case we're looking at, there are no victims. And the problem is he has to dance around it, because he can't like come right out and say to two people sitting in the courtroom that kids are dead, they don't matter. but he has to like come up with a way to basically say yes, they don't matter. It's kind of an annoying thing where he has to, because this is such like an emotionally high case, and he can tell that the judge is allowing emotions to sort of dictate the courtroom. In order to best advocate for his client, he has to stay on the up and up.
Yeah, that's what's happening.
Counsel, let me just, I understand, I guess, the argument that you make. But as I understand factually here, there's a rear end collision. And whatever the circumstances that transpire in that sort of brief moment, there is then the vehicle that the victims are driving that goes past Mr. Torres. And then there is, as I understand it, there's sort of this high-speed thing that happens. I guess I say that because it seems to me, and one of the concerns that I have with it, and while it may not, I guess, legally fit within the definition of reckless driving causing death, that but for those young ladies feeling that they were chased, the rest of it doesn't happen.
And Judge, respectfully, I disagree. I believe that's the facts that the prosecution, that they have in their police report. I don't believe that's the facts that the evidence shows. The evidence shows that after they took off at a high rate of speed on their own without him following them. Then he took off, and the only evidence they have after that is that somebody says from a camera, it appears that he's also traveling at a high rate of speed. But the evidence also shows that none of the vehicles that saw that truck going down the road where it ultimately crashed, none of them saw Mr. Torres's vehicle on that road. He said he turned around on that road, but that was when he lost sight of that vehicle. We have an allegation that that he was following them at a high rate of speed, and that's it. But that's after this accident happened, Judge. I mean, that what he pled to was leaving the scene of the rear end collision. And I don't want to put the blame on anybody in this situation, especially such a horrible situation. But I don't think we need to put the blame on anybody for that, Judge, because we're not here to deal with that situation. And I don't think Mr. Torres's actions after
could have been argued better, but Joshua's doing decent here.
Yeah, and he's trying to explain to the judge without outright being like, "Judge, you're fucking wrong." That
yeah, well, that's the thing. And this is the line that you had to play. Rule number 1 is don't piss off the judge. But if the judge is being inappropriate, it is your duty and obligation to address that and challenge that in court in front of him, especially involved in something like this.
Yeah.
So he's like, look, you guys are talking about the deaths that were caused, the crash that was caused. We are talking about specifically the leaving the scene of the initial incident. That is what is on the docket here. That's what being charged, and anything else is frankly irrelevant, Judge.
Yeah, he's trying to explain to the judge, like, I literally cannot argue that, Judge, because that's not before the court. Like, I don't understand why you're trying to make me argue for it. And then he even pulls out, like, but if you want me to argue for it, yeah, the reason it was dropped is because we have all this proof in the record that it's not his fault.
Yeah. Okay. I see. Okay. You know what? In fact, we have enough for not like super anger, but mild perturbance.
I'd like the mild perturbance face. Don't forget chat. If you super chat with head pats in it, Ava and me will get head pats.
Yes, it does. Hold on, let me make sure. Yeah, it's okay, it does.
Okay.
That accident, and if they were, I think the prosecution would have at least attempted to prove it. And I don't mean anything negative towards the way I say it that way. Sometimes when I say things, they come out very, very harsh, and I don't mean that to be that way. I think what we have here is exactly what it is, Judge, an accident.
This attorney needs a little bit of a spine.
Mr. Torres didn't have any blood, any alcohol or drugs in his system.
I will clarify that this is sort of towards the end. This is like the final case, basically. There have been multiple hearings before the judge on this case previously, and I've seen some of those, and they did not particularly go in the attorney's favor, despite the fact he was making very sound arguments. Because they really wanted to push
look,
this.
Yeah. And it's just him making the statement that statement would have had, incredibly, it would have had as much impact as these headpads. But as soon as he stops that statement with the qualify, I don't mean to step on anybody's toes. I don't mean to look. If you are going to disrespect the court and disrespect these charges and what we're doing in the relevancy here, then I'm sorry, I mean what I say. He needs a little bit more of a spine here.
Yeah, what I personally think he's doing at this point is trying to come off as nice and polite as possible. So when it goes to appeals, he can be like, look how nice and polite I was, and they still treated me like shit. It was clearly the judge had a bias against us. I think it could be a strategy, but he also could just have a very weak spine.
That day, it was a rear-end collision, and I think that they didn't want the cops called on them, and so they took off, and he followed them until he couldn't see them anymore. I don't think that is something that warrants jail.
But counsel, I don't mean to quibble, but certainly in terms of how the court views this, what I hear you saying, which is different from my impression in reading through the report and everything that I see here, is that your client's actions did not cause in any way the victims in this case to do anything. Even if it was, let's say they took off at a high rate of speed, that they continued at that high rate of speed because he was behind them. I mean, what I'm hearing you saying is the fact that your client was there had nothing to do whatsoever with what ultimately occurred.
I don't think that would be an intelligent thing for me to say. You're right, Judge. What I'm saying is I don't think that the fact that my client decided to follow them after they left the scene doesn't result in them getting in the accident that they got into. The accident, by all accounts, by everybody who saw it, the accident happened when Mr. Torres had already turned around. He was gone already. I mean, it's not that the accident happened because he was chasing them. It's because the accident happened on their own. And
I want it clear as I read it. The car with the young ladies continued to proceed because in the manner it did, because he was behind them. Now, granted that the accident that ultimately occurs may have occurred at a later point, I think is something different.
And Judge, with all due respect, I don't believe that the report to be evidence in the situation. That was a disputed fact. That's why it was reduced or taken. That's why the reckless driving causing deaths were taken back, is because they couldn't be proven. There is absolutely nothing in the police report about Mr. Torres.
There we go. Bring it back.
Beyond Mr. Torres simply following them and then losing sight of them. Anything else is a disputed fact. We would have disputed. We would have taken that to trial. I mean, we ultimately pled because the charge was brought down to reckless driving, and we worked out the agreement to the failure to stop at the PD accident.
Now, this is the attorney kind of, he's trying to explain to the judge, basically, Judge, you really need to think about what you're doing because this is wrong, is kind of my read off of it. Because he's directly saying, look,
it's being as nice as he can, but he's
but we're not having this discussion.
Yeah, he's like, look. Yeah, no, exactly. He's being as formal and professional, respectful as possible, but it is like, this is not what we're talking about. These charges were dropped. We cannot litigate this.
Yeah, and he's saying like, we would have litigated this if these charges were on the table. But they're not, so we haven't prepared for that because we were according to the rules of procedure, it's not going to be brought up. But apparently now it's being brought up, so we kind of have to just wing it. Basically, chat, this is extremely inappropriate on the judge's part.
Yeah, it doesn't, and I don't know why the judge is like this reaction of his too, with the both this like the double face palm here. What is exacerbating about this? He is being completely accurate and relevant, whereas you are not. I'm sorry, but like get outside of your feelings and focus on the law. This is a fucking bench trial. This is why I'm so annoyed, is because typically speaking, the advantage of a bench trial is you do not have the emotional aspect to it that you do with a jury. But clearly, that's not the case here.
At no point was this plea ever based upon any actions that were taken after the fact. But even if it were, Judge, those are disputed facts. The fact that they put it in a police report, with all due respect, doesn't make it true. And the fact that the person who wrote the PSI took that information from the police report doesn't make it true. There was a very good argument, very, very strong defense that the things that were in that police report actually were not what happened, based off eyewitnesses who saw the truck on the road before it crashed, based on eyewitnesses who saw Mr. Torres not on that road at all.
I understand that there might be disputed facts, but in order for me to properly sentence, I have to, in my head at least, have some resolution of the facts as they've occurred, or at least what how I perceive
no, you don't.
that they occurred.
Jesus.
Go on, Ava. Do your rant. I can feel it.
No, you don't. You don't. Those facts are disputed and they're not before you. So you do not need to resolve them in your head or not to resolve this case. If you are saying you need to, then should this be shifted to a motion of recusal or demand of recusal? Because you do not need, but the facts you're trying to get right in your head for you it is completely inappropriate for you to get them right in your head to make this sentencing. You should make this sentencing based on the facts before you.
I'm seeing Ava crash out. Oh, don't worry, Ava's not crashed out yet. Trust me, though, Ava probably will by the end of this. We're on the very gentle slope right now.
Otherwise, I just sentence on a charge and forget the rest of it. The failure of Mr. Torres to remain where he was, what then happened?
I don't believe that. Oh, I'm sorry,
Go
Judge.
ahead.
I thought you were asking. I apologize. I did not mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I think, and you may disagree with my answer, but the answer to that is what was going to happen was going to happen, because our version of the facts, what we believe to be what happened is, and I'm trying to walk very fine line here so that I'm not trying to dig into anybody, but the reason that the girls wanted to leave the initial traffic stop.
The attorney is trying really hard to not just come out and say it. However, I think we might already be at a point just kind of past the fact where he just does have to come out and say the girls that were driving, it was their own fault they died. Because they were being reckless and they were not controlling the vehicle.
That's the problem, yeah. Yeah, and that's what he's trying to do. But and that's why I would be stalwart. And these facts that you need to get right in your head are not before you on the docket before this court. They're in your head. So you need to get right this sentencing with the facts before you, not the ones you got to get right in your head. And we cannot litigate or comment on anything beyond the scope of what is being charged right here. Those teens' deaths were tragic, but the facts of that case are not before us. And that's that he needs to be stalwart and just hard stance here, because otherwise he's gonna have to say, look, those teenagers were reckless and they're their fault, and then you've lost the case because this judge is clearly emotional, not logical right now. Yeah. So you have to stand fast with your logical argument, stand fast on the facts on the relevancy of what you're talking about and wanting to talk about, and not go beyond that. And even like if it ends up being like this back and forth, if you end up being charged with contempt, fine. But you are just you doing your best job as an attorney by going it that way. Like Joshua, I get why he's dancing around it. He doesn't want to say it, but he's feel like he's being forced to. I'm telling him that like your only one good move here is to stand on the relevancy of this and challenge the judge on what he's trying to do and bring outside of court stuff into this court.
Yeah. He's trying really hard. He's been put into like a really impossible position. Shouldn't have to deal with this. Also have a good time at the dentist.
Yeah,
Bad
no,
dog.
he
Good luck.
shouldn't. Absolutely.
And now he's got to come up with a way to deal with it. Not only is he not like he shouldn't have to deal with it, but because of the way the previous sentence he was on, he was under the impression it was just not going to come up at all. And now he's in court and suddenly he's being ambushed with, hey, we have victim impact statements. And we're going to actually talk about the second case that got dismissed, and that's going to be a major part of this. And he's like, what the fuck are you guys on? This is not what we discussed. This is not in the filings. And in court, you can't do that. You can't ambush people like evidence. It has to be put before the court properly so everybody could see it and can come up with arguments against it. He's just being ambushed with it at the last minute. By the end of this case, I unironically feel this whole thing was a civil rights violation. I think it violated so much court procedure that it was a civil rights violation. That's just a thing.
Is because they didn't want to have the police come because there were some, they're kids, they were doing some things that kids do, and they didn't want that to be the issue. So when they left the scene at a high rate of speed, the initial accident, they were going to continue to do that because they didn't want to have to go back to that accident scene.
Oh, so he says they were doing things that kids wanted to do. What he's trying to bring up is something that was in the facts that should not have had to be brought up. But basically, it's likely the kids ran from Mr. Torres not because he was chasing them, but because Mr. Torres insisted on calling the police to get a proper police report filled out for the wreck, even though it was a small wreck, and they had a lot of drugs in the car. And the defense attorney is trying to tiptoe around saying they fled because their car was full of drugs, and Mr. Torres was going to call the police. Not on them having drugs, but just on the wreck, just to get a police, which is technically what you're supposed to do. Also, I'm sorry, chat, if I'm bringing up random context as the case goes along. I've read so much about this, and it upsets me so much that this attorney has to, like, dance around this stuff.
I get it, counsel, but
yeah, the attorney's definitely been put in an unfair position. But this isn't. Our court system is adversarial in nature, so this is something that can end up happening. If you are a trial attorney, you have to understand at one point you might have to lay down the law against the judge. But as weird as that might sound,
Thank you for the head pat,
and
Magma.
while I do feel for the judge for the attorney here, Joshua, for being put in this position, this is a position he knew he would eventually have to take. The longer you are arguing in front of the judge, the longer that this might happen.
Chances the teens had drugs in their system, well, that is an assumption because as far as I know, they were never tested after they got to the hospital. However, it is believed by some people close to the case that the original accident was probably caused by them being a little
The problem I'm having here is you're telling me when I read the report, when I read the rendition of what transpired, I shouldn't take into account things that I see here that give me a bit of pause. And even in terms of just the charge really is that he didn't just stay where he was and report it.
Can I say something?
Your client wants to speak. Do you have an issue with that, counsel?
No, don't say anything at the moment, please. Judge, I think part of the reason that you don't see that there is because you're getting one version of the facts when you look at the police report.
I think the attorney's doing really good here by not letting him speak. So typically it's never good for you to speak anyways, especially if it's not like a jury trial and you're not like a super, super sympathetic respondent. You have to be like a little old lady level sympathetic in order for it to be a good idea for you to defend yourself. But also, I don't think Mr. Torres understands that he should not be defending this at all. His attorney is trying to explain to the judge that you're not supposed to be looking at this, point blank, period. And Mr. Torres would get in a, put himself in a worse situation where he'd try and testify to stuff that's not even supposed to be before the court. But I get it. I get why he would be confused, because he doesn't know that this isn't supposed to be before the court. He's just like, oh, it's part of the case, so it's part of the case.
And I see your difficulty, Judge. It's tough because this is a sad situation, but that's not what he pled to. And had he known that this was going to be a situation where he has to answer for, why things ended up the way they did, instead of just focusing on the leaving the scene of a property damage accident, he wouldn't have made that plea. If somebody rear-ends you and then they take off and you follow them, there's nothing illegal about that. And if those people choose to run away at a high rate of speed and get in an accident, that shouldn't be the person's fault who chose to follow them. And that person shouldn't have to go to jail because they chose to follow them.
And under your version of this, how far did he follow them?
According to the reports, he turned around on the street well before the railroad tracks, and the oncoming vehicles that passed the truck before it was in the accident did not see Mr. Torres's vehicle on that road. I think what we're doing is we're taking it and we're moving forward with facts that absolutely 100% would have been disputed at preliminary exam and at trial had we known that they were going to be facts that would be considered. And that being the case, Judge, I would have preferred, if these facts were going to be considered, I would have preferred to have an evidentiary hearing on it, or a contested hearing, and that's actually what we initially elected to do before they dismissed the charges. So now those same facts that I initially wanted to contest are being used against Mr. Torres and accepted as true. And I'm not saying you shouldn't be able to do that as the judge. Obviously, you're the decision maker, but that's why we didn't move forward with a plea to anything or with a hearing as to anything, because when we set the case for a hearing on those disputed facts, the prosecution then removed those charges.
Okay, I hear you, but I don't know why, and I don't know that it's up to me to try to figure out why charges get reduced, because there are various reasons why.
Not up for you to figure out why they're reduced. It's just you to accept that they're not there anymore.
Hey, this is a conversation you have with the DA and the prosecutor. Not right now, and not to be done out in front of my client. I'm starting to get really fucking pissed off at Simpson here.
It's terrible. We're not even at the worst part yet. This is still just like the average bit.
That happened. And because they're typically not at our sentencing, I'm not hearing from the prosecution regarding their side. And then if I hear that, then certainly I can, because it's what I do, I can try to resolve.
So this is something he mentions. Basically, the prosecutors in this case are not at trial, or not at the sentencing at all. And
yeah, they're not, because they don't show up at sentencing usually.
Yes. So first off, it's sentencing. Second off, some people have said that in previous cases, the prosecutors were kind of absent-minded being there at all. The belief is that the prosecutors don't believe they have any case, point blank, period. But because this was such a highly televised case within their community, they feel the need to charge with something. Which is why they initially hit him with the reckless driving causing death. And then later, after things calmed down a little bit, because as you can see, the courtroom right now is empty except for the families, it has been reduced to just the leaving the scene of an accident, basically.
So, Space Marine, I'm going to be kind to Judge Simpson and say he's not trying to sentence a defendant for a charge that was dropped, but he is trying to consider the facts of those drop charges in sentencing this lesser charge, which is completely inappropriate.
Yes.
That in my head to see if it makes a difference. I think I'm going to need to start out with, I'm going to need a prosecutor present. I will leave that to you to make the decision.
Oh my God,
as to
he's
whether or
forcing
not
a
you
hearing.
wish
Wait,
to
no,
withdraw the
hey, you don't need a process. Oh my God, okay, just continue it.
plea and send this back up on either the felony charges or something else. But I can't, I mean, my intent was to follow the recommendation of probation at least. And I hear what you're saying, that if that's what the court's going to do, you want an opportunity to maybe do something different. I'm going to suggest, counsel, that maybe you speak with the prosecutor's office so that maybe there can be some understanding that the court could have. I'm going to adjourn the sentencing, and if you can't, then at least you understand where my head is, at least at this given
So
moment.
he's putting
Then
off the sentencing so they can litigate charges that have already been dropped.
Yes. And he's saying you need to go talk to the prosecutor's office about this. The prosecutor's office dropped it. It's been talked about. That was the discussion. That is done.
you could maybe file your motion to withdraw the plea or do whatever. I mean, I give everybody the opportunity. I will adjourn this.
You can kind of tell the attorney right now is trying to figure out what he needs to say, because he's I genuinely think he's so confused right now. He's like, what do you mean talk to the prosecutor? The prosecutor dropped it. What do you want me to talk to them about? Hey, can you confirm with the judge that you dropped it? Like,
Yeah, I'm not. This is very bizarre. Like the judge is trying to judge on something that isn't before him, and he's decided to, instead of judging what's before him, go, you know what? We're gonna put this off until you get up with the prosecutor's office and we can talk about what I want to talk about. And then no, dude, you have a sentencing to carry out. Dude, you have a fucking rubric for which to actually apply the law and sentence this person to fine, jail time, whatever it is. But you basically have a book to look at. You have a variety of mitigating or aggravating circumstances to a sentencing. You apply your judgment, and that's it. This should not be before you at all.
yeah, I think the judge is either willfully misunderstanding this or is just not thinking clearly at all. When he says, "I understand what you're saying, that if we're going to consider this, you want to enter a different plea."
Not had enough monster this morning or something.
Yeah, he's like, "I understand if we're considering this, you want to reconsider your plea," and he's like, "That's not what the attorney is trying to tell you. The attorney is not trying to tell you if you're going to consider this, we want to go back on our plea deal. The attorney is trying to tell you, in the nicest way possible, without disrespecting the court, you are factually wrong and you should not be considering this at all." He's trying to say that in a very nice way because he has to, and the judge is not getting it. He's thinking it's more of a literal statement of, we want to return our plea deal then. It's not what he's saying, Judge.
Yeah, this is just bizarre.
To January 24th.
2 weeks later.
Court does call the case of People versus John Torres.
Patricia Reiser on behalf of the people.
Good morning once again, Judge Joshua Van Lon on behalf of Mr. Torres, who's present in court.
Torres, can you state your name?
John Torres.
All right. I understand.
By the way, notice these are the two mothers that were for the victim impact statement in the last case. They are still here. And notice this is an empty courtroom at this point. They're the only ones here. Basically, this case over the multiple hearings has been so blatantly rigged looking that the general public in this area has lost interest. And they don't want it. This was started as a very highly controversial case and has now devolved into nobody giving a shit. That is how bad this has gone. That's just my extra little bit of exculpatory information, I guess.
Couple of things. First of all, that the moms they're present in the courtroom. I know you addressed the court the last time and we adjourned it out for reasons. Did you?
Well,
was there
okay, so
anything
spherical
else?
logic. No, this is not civil court. This is still criminal court. The act, like he is being charged with not remaining at the scene until cops arrived. That is a criminal charge. It's being dealt with by the prosecutor. The other two charges were dropped, so this is not civil court, but this is like misdemeanor criminal court. Like we're not dealing with anything that serious. And Judge Simpson is just stuck on the fact that these teens died and trying to include that.
Yeah. Also, somebody says, else too, but please let the prosecutor and the defense attorney start arguing with the judge. That'd be so funny. I hate to spoil it, but the prosecuting attorney in this case is just like set dressing. She does not want to be here. I think the only way the defense attorney could sort of take the judge's statement from the last case was that the prosecuting attorney needed to be there to answer questions, because there was nothing else he could do. Like I said with the I kind of joked about it last time or a minute ago, but he was genuinely confused at what the judge wanted him to do, because realistically the judge should have taken his hint and understood that he was trying to tell him that he was wrong. So he's like, okay, well, what can I do? Well, I can tell the prosecuting attorney the judge wants her there to answer questions. And I believe that's what happened behind the scenes in cases.
Either of you want to tell the court again, you most certainly can address me again. I want to make sure you get.
Statement that we wrote was kind of addressing everything for all of us. Sherry, the other mom, they had car trouble, so she's
Crazy Phyllis, you say if there's no evidence he was even at the scene when the accident occurred, then the charges really should be dismissed. They already have.
Yeah, charges are already
That's
dismissed.
That's the whole fuck. Yeah, the judge here is trying to discuss facts related to charges that have already been dismissed. That is what is so inappropriate here. So yeah, you're completely right. And in fact, that's what happened. But the judge is still harping on it.
Any questions for me? Okay, come. I need you to. It's okay. I figured you might, and so I want to make sure I address the question.
You can kind of see it on the attorney's face. He is already angry because he is now letting the two moms come up and give another statement. And he's like, okay, this is how this case is going to go.
Honestly, he should be objecting.
Yeah.
So one of the questions
I would be incredibly hostile right now in court. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I'd probably catch at least an admonishment, if not like, hey, you're gonna be held in contempt. I might only in contempt then. Because again, this should not be happening. I'm objecting to it. This is not appropriate. But the thing is this isn't Zoom court. You can't do it nearly as effectively when you're fucking in front of a webcam.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you state your name first?
Yes, Christy Green.
Thank you. Go ahead.
You're welcome. So when you say like he wasn't his proximity to the accident, are you talking about the second accident?
I'm talking about the second accident. So
okay.
So just so you understand where I'm coming from and what I now see. There's the rear end collision, right? And then after that rear end collision, the first car, which your daughter was in, takes off. That Mr. Torres, as I understand the facts now, goes some distance, but isn't in the area when the accident, the fatality occurs. Which is a whole different impression than what I had initially.
Okay.
Okay. So go ahead with your question. I'm sorry.
Okay. So are you aware that it wasn't a hit and run, because there's two different police reports, right? So there's Ypsilanti. Ypsilanti had it as a hit and run, but then there was a fatality through Superior Township, right? So
the sheriff's department. Right.
So when they investigated, because we had sat down with the prosecuting attorneys and we went through this and we actually asked quite a few questions when they were originally dropping the charges from the misdemeanors. But they called us in to sit down and discuss all this a while ago. So at that point.
By the way, this is no longer even a victim impact statement. They are now just letting the moms testify.
Yeah, that's, oh my God. Like, oh, Jesus, this is so inappropriate.
Yeah, the mothers are now trying to introduce facts into the case. That's not how a victim impact statement works. And they have now allowed this to happen.
And questions are being asked and stuff like, no, this is so, like, dude, you could be freaking, like, suspended from the bench for a hot minute over this. Like, this is how inappropriate this is in my eyes.
We asked quite a few questions, and it's my understanding that from Eastern, there's video footages that see when my daughter hit him, they stopped. They got out of the vehicle, they went back and forth. The detective had Mr. Torres' phone and verified that there was a picture of the license plate that was taken in his phone prior to him chasing them or following them or whatever it is that we're calling that right now. Are you aware of that?
Let me tell you what I am.
Why is Joshua not objecting to this? I guess he's just so fucking done with it. I can see it on his face. But absolutely, he should be objection. You are allowing testimony to come in through a victim impact statement, of which is inappropriate in the first place for this particular, like, dude, like, seriously, like, this is so bad.
Yeah, and you can see it on his face. He's extremely mad right now. Like, he's trying to hold it in, and I don't know why he is. At this point, he needs to just, like, bite the bullet and be like, Judge, you're a fucking idiot. What year did this court proceeding take place in? This was last year. So this is technically a little old. I haven't seen any updates on it since then, but I haven't looked particularly hard.
It's at least, again, as I understand it, that there's the initial accident. My understanding is that there was some contact between the parties to that.
Okay.
It was basically failure to stop at the scene of a property damage accident because the law requires that certain things have to occur.
I just love how unhappy the defense attorney is. Like, it's so blatant too. It's not even hiding it. He's just like,
I would straight up have, you know the Voldemort, like, neck thing?
Yeah.
From Harry Potter, like, I would straight up be doing that as Judge Simpson is telling me the law requires certain things. But yeah, the law requires that none of this even be happening, but you're still fucking doing it.
Yeah. Chat, this case is so bad that on every single comment section of every person I've seen cover this, like, no matter what the title is of the video, and no matter how the person making the video covers it, everybody says the judge is a whack job. Everybody. I have not seen a single person in defense of the judge on this case.
Or the person has to do something at the scene. Right.
Okay. So then you said something about the second accident. So all we're talking about is the first accident, because you said he wasn't in proximity of the second accident, and I don't know how.
That's what the data, that's what I see from the data.
Okay, so the first driveway, if you're to pull on that street, he would very clearly been able to see what happened. So
here's the thing now. The judge has admitted that according to all the facts that are in the case, he was not at the second accident. He has said factually already, according to the data I have, he factually was not at the accident. Let's see how these ladies talk him down from that, even though that is the factual thing he has in front of him that says, factually, this is true.
Oh, I just want to make sure we're not talking about that because I don't
see what happened. Okay.
The second accident.
The second accident?
Yes. He was with it.
Whether or not one could see it or not, he was not in proximity to that accident.
What would you consider proximity?
That he's a distance from that accident.
What distance?
So what? Well, I can't give you I can't lay it out by feet or anything like that, so I can't say that. What my understanding, the facts are, is that he's some distance from when the accident occurs. Now, hold that thought for a moment, okay? Because my initial reading of this was that the cars take off, right? And that he is indeed following them, but doesn't stop.
Correct.
Right? My understanding is he stops at some point and the accident occurs further down. But at the point that that happens, he's not, what do you want to call it, in pursuit, chasing?
As far as I know,
following.
Judge
He's
Simpson
not
is still
doing-
active.
Yes. I was kind of looking through list on my other page to see if I could find something about it. But I can't seem to find anything particular about any, like, admonishment.
That at that point. That's my understanding now. Now, if you believe that there's something that says something different, then I certainly want to see it. But that is, when I'm now looking at everything, that's what I see.
Okay, I don't believe his vehicle. I think it was too old to have a black box in it that would show where he actually was.
That's the data from the accident reconstructionist says something different than what my impression was. That's what I'm.
Okay, so then maybe I didn't see that, but the driveway that he clearly stated he pulled in, I would say is 10 car lengths, 10 car spaces from where the accident happened. So you can say close proximity, not close proximity. We could all have a different understanding of that. So I disagree with that statement because I think it's based on how we would personally.
Oh my God, this is hilarious.
Look.
What?
Now the victim impact statement giver is arguing with the judge.
Yep.
That's fucking hilarious.
I will say I can't find anything on the Torres trial specifically. However, I have found that in 2013, Judge Simpson got repercussions for interfering in the arrest of his intern on a DUI case. And then he was...
Oh, interesting, really?
And then in 2017, he was suspended from the Michigan Supreme Court over another misconduct allegation, although it's not specific on what happened.
Okay.
But he has had two different misconduct issues in the past.
So there's a pattern then that we can at least identify.
A little bit, yeah.
Got it. So I just wanted to clarify that, but I don't know that that's going to make a difference in what we're doing sentencing right now for.
Let me just tell you this, ma'am, and I'm just kind of a straight shooter about things.
I appreciate that.
This whole case troubles me, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes I guess it would be great doing this job if I weren't a human, because then I don't have to deal with things that I have to set aside in my mind.
I understand.
Parent to parent, I'll just say this. After we were here the first time, I could only think about my daughter. And that I would want something to happen. I'm not even sure I'm not even sure what I would want, right?
Yeah.
But that I would. And I had to kind of, people I think that when judges leave the bench, we kind of leave everything behind us and we don't think about things. This one has been with me. I want to say a lot, but I think it's been sitting in the back.
He is giving so many why he should just like recuse himself.
No,
at
this is
point.
great. No, this is no. Let him continue. Let him, because I'm not allowed to pause. As soon as like the, because Joshua should only have one fucking thing out of his mouth after this whole little whatever the fuck this is. All right, then, in light of that touching, heartfelt reach out to the victim, I'm going to go ahead and submit an immediate motion for you to recuse yourself, because it's quite clear that you are far, far, far too close to this case and to make a rational judgment based solely on the law.
Yeah.
Like, that should be Joshua's only fucking move after this whole little fucking thing. I mean, he's literally saying, like, on the bench, in front of everyone, parent to parent, doesn't matter. You're the judge on the bench right now. You are saying that this case is weighed on me, and if I were you, I'd want something to happen. And like, dude, this is all recusal territory. Like, get out of here.
Yeah. To me, this was like so blatant and ridiculous. I don't understand like why this doesn't seem like it's gone anywhere since. I feel like this is something so blatant you could get it moving pretty quickly.
Background. And on just all my thoughts. But I also realized, in great part, setting that emotion aside, I realized I had to do my job, right? And I also realized that if I could, but I know I can't, that I don't have the power to bring back who you lost. In a lot of ways, sitting here is a helpless feeling, because
oh my God,
really
get off
doesn't
your fucking
matter
cross, you crucified judge.
Yeah, he's getting really ridiculous about it at this
point. I do.
That's how I feel. That's how I feel.
I can't make it right, and I know I can't. I realize that being limited in that regard.
I'm going to ask the court to make a request to Judge Simpson. If he needs a call to the ambulance, they make that happen pretty quickly here. Could you imagine that being said in fucking court? Yeah, can we get a ambulance called in for Judge Simpson here?
Oh.
Make the correct decision. And while this may sound crass, I don't mean it this way, but it's the best words that I can come up with, and then let that fall where it may. And the way for me to
Joshua
do
over here
that
falling asleep.
is to try to make sure I have a clear understanding of, as best I can, what happened. If, and I said this before, if my impression that I had initially was that there's the rear end collision, and then at some point,
I know it's hard to see because his camera is kind of like poor quality because of how he's doing, and the angle's weird. But if you notice, his face is just be getting like slowly redder the entire time. He is definitely very upset.
Yeah, I would be too.
I think he's the only reason he's not saying anything is because he's trying to prevent himself from like screaming at the judge. Honestly,
at this point, like before that, yeah, I probably would have been making more of a thing, but like this whole little heartfelt judge-based testimony on him and his daughters and why he feels so strongly for this case, like I just let him keep running because this is all just ammo for my appeal.
Yeah. It is, for me, this is like a slam dunk appeal. I don't see this not going through. Basically.
Which is weird. Again, this I had to keep in mind. This is a fucking sentencing hearing. This should not be happening here. Like, of all the places for this to happen, this should not be happening at this particular type of hearing.
This should have been like a 10 to 20 minute thing where he's like, okay, here's the facts, here's what the charge is.
10 for real? Yeah, for real.
This is how much time you're getting. Get out of my courtroom. Goodbye. it has now been one, like, 20-minute hearing, then it was set aside for 2 weeks later, and now it's going to another, like, 35-minute hearing.
My car stepped on a bee.
Happens, and I purposely use that word chase, happens, then the consequence of that chase may rest with Mr. Torres, right? That's one scenario. The other scenario
Oh,
is
he's muted and talking to
the
somebody.
initial accident happens, and then there may be this brief moment, and you're right, they're out of the vehicles at some point. Then there's this brief moment where the vehicle takes off.
I don't know if you're doing it or if you notice it, but when he's talking to this person, he's doing like that fake smile thing people do when they're mad. Because you can see, like, with his like mouth, he's trying to smile, but his eyes aren't moving at all.
You know, a friend of mine used to be really, really good at fucking reading lips. I wish I had them to bring them in because we could get the full, like, what he's saying right now.
Yeah. Yeah, the lip smile, where people smile with their mouth, but their eyes don't move, so you can tell that they're still, like, just angry.
Good job. Yep. You want to look for telltale wrinkles on the sides of the eyes and the forehead for a genuine smile.
Yeah. He's not happy, and I think whoever, like, what co-counsel he has there with him is like, dude, are you hearing this shit?
Yeah, I think that's what they're there. What's great is he's muted, clearly, but I can just tell they're shit-talking the fuck out of this judge right now, right in front of him, and it's great.
Yeah, but the judge, like, has no, he's not noticing at all, because he's, like, so focused on this, like, relitigating this case.
Because he's so in on this fucking, oh my god, I feel so bad for you, this case. Guess what? I got the world's tiniest violin here, Ricker. Yeah. Just for you.
He may even be headed in the same direction, but then stops, calls the police. Under that scenario, he wouldn't then be attributable, or it wouldn't be attributable to him, and he wouldn't be the cause of it. When I went back, and like I said, I'm just trying to do the right thing. And when I went back and looked at everything, it's that second scenario that I'm seeing. And if you think that there's something else that I should look, I looked at everything, but if you want me to look at something else before I put sentence out, I will do it.
Thank you, and I appreciate that.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, he basically just said that if the mothers want to bring in evidence at the last minute, he's willing to look at it. Deeply inappropriate.
Are you fucking kidding me?
And I know she hasn't moved much, but you can kind of see on the prosecutor right now, like, her eyebrows just went up, and she's
like, even the prosecutor is like, what the fuck? Yeah, I do love that. I do love that. It's like, excuse me?
And of course, his defense attorney, like, his entire face is scrunched up now. He's like, what the fuck?
Space Marine Judge Simpson is an incredibly popular judge. He televises a lot of his court cases. And he's known for being an exceptionally fair but firm judge. But, like, I think we're dealing with a skinwalker or something because this guy's lost his fucking mind in this case.
Yeah, it's wild, like, how bad this is compared to other cases.
No, it's not. No. This is not in line with procedure. I'm not going to go so far as to call it illegal. It isn't appropriate, and there might be some kind of, like, guideline rule or something that he could be reprimanded on, but again, I don't know for sure.
Don't worry. We're
and I don't want to speak of something I don't know.
We're still on a downhill slope. We have not reached the bottom yet.
Are you serious? Jesus, I thought we were close to the climax. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I thought, okay.
We're halfway through the video.
That whole testimony of the judge about talking how he also has daughters and stuff, I thought that was honestly the most egregious. You're telling me it gets worse. Oh my god.
We are only halfway through the video, and there's no like appeal cases or anything attached to this video. It is just this one sentencing
Oh,
hearing.
Jesus.
You grab my phone. I want to make sure that Sherry.
All right.
She's watching. I want to make sure that she doesn't have anything to say. So the question that you're asking about.
You're in communication with her then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, she's watching on Zoom.
Did she want?
In court, she is texting the other mother that is involved in this case who did not show up to court, and she is now giving hearsay testimony on what the other money is saying.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. I mean, okay, I'm gonna give it some on this too with I love Joshua's face. Like, honestly, like, he should be objecting to so much of this. Like, it is his duty as this guy's attorney to, like, okay, maybe you make the case for appeal, but, like, seriously, like, you have an obligation to not let this continue any farther than it has, even if it means disrupting the court. To do so, like, you have to zealously defend and represent your client, and I don't see how Joshua not saying anything right now is working in defense of his client.
Yeah, I kind of feel like there has to be some sort of behind the scenes thing that has like all these people just defeated with this judge right now. Because even look at the prosecutor, like she's
yeah, probably
lip raised, eyebrow raised.
Yeah, look at that is scorn. That's actually wow. Those are the markers for scorn.
Like that is a proper like
disgust. Holy shit!
Like stun locked into being
good.
angry face. Like just what the fuck?
Yeah, she's like, are you? No, she is. She cannot believe what's happening right now.
And it makes me think there's been a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes in this case with this judge that has gotten all these people kind of resigned to the fact that they're gonna have to appeal and nothing else. Because everyone just seems like, this is terrible. What are we supposed to say? I feel like there has to be other stuff.
Fire Sky 15 does make an appropriate point here. And also, as much as this is not appropriate, this judge has a reputation and this defense lawyer knows it. Yes, I do believe the presence of cameras is helping keeping these attorneys and prosecutors and stuff in line from openly challenging the judge, but that should be no reason. That should not, like, just because there's a camera on you, should not stay your hand in appropriately defending and representing your client.
I don't think that's what Fire Sky is saying.
I do like the behavior.
I think he's saying that this judge is so televised that they are well aware of how he acts, and that they're kind of not bringing up things that they know he would.
Oh, you mean like his back end reputation?
Yeah.
I mean, I can see that. I feel like that.
Well, I mean, I've started to see in some cases
I just
like
know
how
from
deep this
a lot of
empathy
people
thing
I've
for him
seen when they
works.
get in front of a camera.
No way, this guy didn't get reprimanded. I can't find anything. If somebody finds
I mean,
it,
that's
let me
the
know.
thing. He can't say he can. Yeah, Mizu found the other 2 times. This judge has actually received disciplinary punishment over his conduct. And apparently nothing pops up on this case. The last thing that popped up was like, what was it, 12 years ago? 2013?
2017.
27. Oh, wow, that's a lot sooner. Okay.
There's one in 2013
that's still a good,
and then one in 2017.
what is that, 5 years?
We're in 2025 now.
No,
That's
that's 7 years. 8 years. That's 8.
Time just keeps moving on,
Look,
doesn't it?
I wasn't an adult in 2017, so.
To sign in? I mean,
That's what I'm trying to find out right now. I don't know if you want me to step out and make a call or if you want me to do it from right here.
You want to call her to see?
Yeah.
Okay. If you want to step out, you can make a call. Go ahead.
Thank you.
This
That's
is,
just
oh
wild.
my god. You can't, oh Jesus, whatever. I feel, I'm squirming. I'm literally squirming in my chair right now. Like, I cannot handle this. Okay, continue.
So bad.
Sherry did join.
Oh, she joined. Okay. Let's see. Where is she? Oh, there you are.
Oh, there she fucking, oh my god. Oh my fucking god.
On Torres, in her name.
Everybody
Jerry Smith.
Oh my god.
This is some shit you
What
would
if
see on a
she was just
YouTube
sitting on
video.
Torres? Yeah, like, remember those old YouTube videos? Like, you could do a webcam video response under it.
Yeah.
It says add response, and you could just freaking go on and yeah. That's the energy that this is matching right now.
We are at a sentencing hearing. We are done. He lets one of the mothers of
This is
one of the girls that died come up and just start testifying, basically. And then she's like, hey, the other mother has some stuff to say. She's texting me. You mind if I get her in here? And the judge is like, yeah, sure, bring her in. Fuck are you doing?
This is like the three Stooges got a car. Yeah, but one of the Stooges was the fucking judge.
Is here. Okay. Was there did you have a question, ma'am, or something else you want to tell the court? I think you were listening to what I said before.
I would really like for the initial phone report when he called into 911 to be relooked at, because from my understanding, in that 911 call, he admits to the chase. He admits to turning in the driveway before the railroad tracks, and he admits to seeing some dust. So what dust did you see?
You need to be objecting to this, Joshua.
And you're not on a dirt road. The dust you saw was them going over them
Oh,
railroad
God, can you
tracks
object?
and
That's the
crashing.
thing. Like, when you object to the sentencing theory, that's what's fucking me up so much. It's like, typically this is not a trial. This is not an area where you would have objections. Typically.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like, yeah, look at Jai. His arms are crossed now. Do you know how mad this man is? Like, he is so fucking mad.
Also, I wanna pull this up again really quick. At the tip start of the thing. They show them. Yeah, here is it just slightly after.
Hospital in critical.
Because remember, their claim is that he was able to clearly see the car. And that's how they're trying to make the excuse of why he was involved in it, that he claimed he saw dust but not the car. And they're saying, well, he would have been able to see the car. This is where the car was. This is where the road was. This is how much shit is in between the car and the road.
How did they do that?
I don't know. Well,
That's impressive.
I think what they're doing is they're going like northbound here. I don't know what actual direction that is. We're calling it northbound because it's upward. And they hit the railroad track, which I think it's either over here or it's back here. I'm going to assume it's back here because I see a mailbox here. And they said Mr. Torres pulled into a driveway. It's possible that they kind of went through right here where there's less trees and ended up back here. But the thing is, you wouldn't be able to see that because they're well behind the trees.
Yeah, this is fucking weird.
And it was confirmed, and she's even saying it now, that he was in the middle of pulling off to the side and trying to call the police. So it's completely possible that no, he didn't see what happened.
And now she wants the 911 call re-looked at. Which no, this is not some. Like, I cannot believe the judge is, like, not just allowing this to happen, like, encouraging it, like, triggering it, like, giving them enough of a platform to come up with this. Hey, the other one's texting me. Can I bring her in on? Oh, yeah, sure. Go ahead, step out. Bring her on, and let's get the whole party in here. What the fuck?
Yeah. So the railroad is somewhere back here, and all we know is that they ran off the road after they hit the railroad tracks. And Mr. Torres had pulled off to the side at a driveway before the railroad tracks. So I know they show like a map here. But it's hard to like tell. This is where the crash is. There's a railroad somewhere in here, and then there's another road. I'd have to get like Google Maps, go like really deep in to see where it is. But again, they're trying to claim that he should have been able to see this from his position before the railroad tracks in a driveway somewhere. I just don't think that's feasible. That sounds ridiculous to me.
So what you're asking me, just so that we're clear, You want me to, if it exists still, you want me to listen to that 911 call?
I would love for you to listen to that 911 call. I mean, I know at this point it's probably not really going to change anything that we're looking at, but at least to get our understanding heard and maybe get a different look at it. If you're admitting to it and you tell them you turned around in the driveway before the railroad tracks, which is where they crashed, none of it just sits well with anybody.
I will absolutely do what I say I'll do. And so, Ms. Reiser, how long would that take you to get that to Anne so that I can hear?
I also do want to clarify this thing because it should
Look,
not
I'm
be.
sorry. Look at her face.
Yeah.
See, Miss Reiser, can you are you fucking kidding me right now? Are you actually asking me these questions right now?
So I do think like we're kind of saying that he shouldn't be looking at this to start with. However, if he is looking at this to start with, something that he doesn't consider at any point in this, but he should have if he really does want to look at all of this, is that Mr. Torres got fender bendered on this road. So he may have been quote-unquote following them, but he was going that way anyways. So it's completely likely he's just like, oh, fuck it, I'll just follow them, then I'll call the police while I do it. I gotta go this way anyways, might as well make up my time or whatever. Like
Then again, these are all facts that we don't have before us because they're disputed events of the case. Judge Simpson here is trying to act as though they are, where he's trying to get to the bottom of those facts, of which are not before him. And he's now brought in 2 extra people. He's asking the prosecutor to pull the goddamn fucking 911 call audio. Like, this is getting so in the weeds. For, again, it's a sentencing hearing. What the fuck?
Yeah. This is what I mean earlier when I said it feels more like a YouTube video. Like, this feels like some shit you would see on, like, a podcast or on internet blood sports like it was back in the day. This is not something you expect to see in a fucking courtroom. At all.
Hear that.
I think I can email it. I can try to do that.
Okay, if you can get that to us, if it has to be on a drive or something, then we'll just have to do it that way. It doesn't matter to me. I just want to hear it. They want me to do that. Yeah, I will be adjourning it if that's okay with everybody.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Well, if it's not, that's what I'm going to do anyway. So
we're now adjourning
Hey,
a sentencing for the second time.
And even if you're not okay with it, that's what I'm gonna do anyway, is what he said.
Yeah.
So like this is just bad. This is just like completely inappropriate, Judge Simpson. I don't know how like you have not been reprimanded for this yet.
I'm going to adjourn it so that can get to me. I'm sorry, your last name again?
Green.
Green?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I can't remember simple names, right? Ms. Smith, Ms. Green, is there anything else you want me to look at or any?
Able to watch the videos that they have from the camp?
I don't know if you noticed by now though, chat, but Joshua has now stood up and walked somewhere else, and he is talking to another person. Whatever is going on in his office right now.
We see Joshua just beeline towards the court. He's like, I was at my office, but fuck that. So we'd see him pull in, go right in. He walks in and, excuse me, what the fuck, Judge?
You see him burst through the door while he's like,
just like
while he's still on the Zoom camera.
Exactly. It's all like what's he doing? He's in his car now. He's running. He's fucking. Oh my god! And then bam, the door burst open. Excuse me, Judge. What the fuck did you just say?
No, it's like that one case where the guy that got charged jumped over the bench at the judge.
Oh yeah, that's right.
He just comes sprinting in and dives over the judge's head. Dude, I gotta say,
that dude's. Oh shit, I can't fucking breathe. Oh fuck.
Oh yeah, the somebody as he kicks the door open and Smash Mouth starts playing. Imagine a brawl in a courtroom set to fucking Smash Mouth.
Oh, that would be great. No, what was the I mean, imagine the church scene from Kingsman, but it's in court, and his attorney who's just had enough.
The attorney has finally just
You know
lost
what?
it.
Fuck this.
Campus of the actual first
Freebird
initial
such
rear
slowly
end.
play.
Okay, you want me to watch the videos? Okay, so what would you be asking me to look at regarding that?
Because from my understanding, he also waves them to go around him once they all get back in their vehicles. So if they all get back in their vehicles and he's waving them to go around him, why are you waving them to go around you?
Okay, so let me ask you this. What
What
is that?
What is the logic in that question?
Just so we're clear, by the way, we
If
are
somebody rear ends me, and I'm like just trying to get my shit together, I'm like, yeah, you know what? We've handled this. Go around me, whatever. That's not malicious. That's not anything. Yet Sherry Smith here on Torres is trying to say it is.
Why are we hearing this from her? Why would her attorney not be arguing this? She doesn't have an attorney. For all intents and purposes, she's not a party to the case. She's literally not supposed to be here. The judge is just allowing her to be here anyway. That's why she doesn't have an attorney in here saying anything on her behalf. But we are on the level of hearsay where she is testifying to the actions her dead daughter saw. She's like, well, according to my understanding, Mr. Torres was waving them to go around. According to who? The two people involved in this are dead. I'm not trying to be, rude or insensitive, but you're testifying to what a dead person saw at this point. Where did you get the testimony from?
What would you want me to do with that information? Let's assume that that's true. What would you want me to do or draw from that?
So him leaving the scene of an accident, if you're waving them around, you're basically telling them, go ahead and go. So they leave, you leave, and then you proceed to call 911. If you're waving them to go around, that's basically you saying, go, everything is okay. That's like a setup. So basically you set them up. If you're waving them to go around you, you're basically saying,
oh my god,
She's
wow,
trying
that
to
leap
get
of
him on
logic.
entrapment.
I'm gonna fight her. I'm gonna fight her. I'm gonna fight her. Guess how many fucking pounds of torque it takes to rip off a human ear in Minecraft, motherfucker? 7.
Yeah.
It only takes 7.
Ugh.
Sorry.
everything is okay.
Jesus
So then
Christ.
you call the police after you wave them to go around you?
Okay, but what do you again, assuming what you're telling me is the truth, what would he be your theory about what he's setting them up for?
We don't know what. That's what, you know, the initial thing is. Why did you wave them to go around? I just want you to look at all aspects before you final sentencing on your decision.
So I do have to point this out because it is somewhat relevant. In some of the digital sources for like the report on the initial crash, there was a couple people going around to a bunch of the different online reports on this, trying to claim that Mr. Torres was a known stalker of the two. And that just like somebody saying, like spamming it on different news articles.
So somebody just defamed it?
A totally random person who is not known.
Because a known stalker is someone like, I guess that's a crime. If you're calling somebody a known stalker, it means they've been convicted of stalking, which is a crime in like I think just about every fucking state.
Well,
but like,
I mentioned
if
that not
he
for
is
the
a known stalker,
defamation.
he's been convicted. So
I mentioned it not for the defamation,
right, it's just
but
interesting that like someone came in,
oh, not just
tried
that,
to defame him,
but based on what
those
the
cases.
mother is now saying, because now she's trying to say
Right.
we don't know why he was setting them up. but that is a factor that we need to look into. And this mother in particular seems to have like some very wild assumptions about what happened. I'm not saying she's the one leaving those comments.
Grief can make your brain do some wild fucking leaps of logic.
But that's why the courts need to get a rein on that, because you can't treat a guy like
kid,
this.
look, Joshua's so mad, he's
in...
been teleported to the back rooms.
Yeah. He has been walking around his office talking to different people.
Yeah, he's pacing. He's literally that. You know how angry you have to be like an attorney in like even Zen court setting to go, you know what, fuck procedure. I'm gonna have a walk around while I try and figure out what the fuck this judge is trying to do. Like none of this is wild.
Yeah, I can kind of even picture him in his office right now when people are like, "Hey, Josh, is the thing over?" And he's like, "Nope, not."
Yeah, no. Someone pokes his head in, goes, "Hey, Dad," and Josh just looks up at him, one his finger off, and the guy goes, "Oh," and just closes the door.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, I'll look at, you know, I went through stuff.
His face is gonna be stuck like this at the end of the case. By the way, that is like he is stuck in a scowl at this point.
Okay, do you know how that's like? Look, that is 42 muscle groups. To greatest scowl, that fucking extreme. You were using just about every muscle group in your face.
He's pissed off. She has no idea what's even going on at this point, because I guarantee the prosecutor's office thought this was over.
She's phoning it in.
Yeah. I guarantee you, at this point, they were under the impression it was probably over. And she's kind of like, why am I here? Why are we doing this? I thought we were done. He accepted the appeal, and trial's over.
And you know, I'm just gonna let you ladies know I normally don't do this. I get my
because you shouldn't. You normally don't do it because you shouldn't.
Every judge normally doesn't fucking do that. Yeah. You know what? Your moral proficiency of it. I'm gonna let you ladies know right now. I shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah. I normally don't do this. Yeah. Not supposed to. Not even sure if the prosecutor should be there. The judge is doing her job just fine. I think that's the worst part, though, is he's trying to be a prosecutor and he's doing bad at it because he's just allowing them to say whatever they want without, like, actually looking.
Report.
Yeah, and he's let's just assume what you said is true. How about let's not, because that's the literal one thing you don't do in court. We're finders of facts, not assumers of facts.
Exactly. And you're supposed to come at it with an innocent until guilty mindset. Like, okay, let's assume he did wave them on. All we can assume.
Oh my god!
Don't
conflate. Hold on. I need to. Can you full screen this? Look at that fucking. I need that pause for him on Judge Simpson. He looks unhinged. He looks like he just did a whole fucking line of something. I'm gonna have his face right here. Oh, there we go. Okay. Yeah, good now. I'm gonna send this to you. It's amazing. That's the face of the man smelling his own fart.
I kind of have my thought process as to what's occurred, and that's what factors into my sentencing. But I'm willing in this instance to go beyond where I would normally go because I want to get it right. So what I will do, Ms. Reiser's going to get those two things to me. My next date will be
February 14th at 9 a.m.
February 14th. So I'll adjourn it to February 14th, 2024, 12 noon.
All right, thank you, Judge.
All right. Thank you. You got that for us?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you, folks.
What's up,
weeks
Bailiff?
later.
Yeah, we have now in a case that should have taken in a sentencing hearing taken like 10 minutes. In this video,
Yeah, 10 minutes. It's now been adjourned twice.
Adjourned twice. We've spent 35 minutes on it. However, this channel has cut out all of the like a back and forth of managing dates and a lot of the dead
fluff,
air. So they've probably been in court for almost an hour at this over something that should have taken 10 minutes, and it's been adjourned twice. So now we're on the third time they're in court over something that you show up for once and finish in 10 minutes.
Court does call the case of the people of the state of Michigan versus John Torres.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Patricia Reiser on behalf of the people.
Good afternoon, Judge. Joshua Van Lawn on behalf of Mr. Torres, who's present in your courtroom.
Can you state your name, sir?
John Torres.
All right. This is the adjourned sentencing date. There was statements given by the mothers of the two young ladies to the court. They asked the court to look at additional
Oh
information.
shit, Joshua's in a new level of the back rooms.
He's not happy. I think he's at home right now though. And so is the
Yeah, I think
prosecutor, it
everybody
looks
is,
like.
except for Simpson and the actual defendant. I think he's in the court.
Yeah.
911 were sent to the court. The court had reviewed them. Was there anything else from either side before the court goes into its decision? Anything from the people?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
Anything from the
I kind of like this is
decision? Anything from the people?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
I know this is something I shouldn't take into account, but I don't know if you've noticed who like Mr. Torres is. This is like a chubby little old man. This is not like some young spry dude.
This is not a deranged murderer.
Like, this is a chubby little old man who, as far as we know from like the facts, did everything he was supposed to do other than stayed put. It's just kind of like a wild case.
Now, here's the question. As the defense attorney here, do I want to bring up anything that happened last time, or I just bring that up in appeal and I just let him go here, or do I actually bring it up to on record and go, hey, this is what happened last time. I didn't even get a chance to fucking get a word in edgewise before you adjourned the sentencing. This was inappropriate and wrong. If he does that, though, it's gonna fucking stir it all up again. So now Joshua has to determine and weigh whether or not it's worth it to just address this impropriety in appeal or to do it now.
I think possibly save it for appeal. And I think that
that's what I would do.
He knows the judge is going to continue digging his hole. And if he starts a fight with the judge, that might still be useful on appeal, but it's going to be a lot less favorable to his client.
And it's not going to serve the... Exactly.
He'd have to, at that point, make an argument like the judge was biased against me, the attorney. If he lets the judge just kind of keep digging the hole, he can be like, look at all of this stuff that makes the judge biased against my client and how poorly he treated my client. And I think that works better on appeal.
Yeah.
Anything from the defense?
No, Judge, you've given us ample time. Thank you.
There isn't an easy way for the court to say this, except for to say that, well, first of all, and I'll give everyone another opportunity to speak after I say what I'm going to say and what the court looks at, what the court has at least surmised. Defense's position is that certainly the defendant ought to be sentenced on the charge that he pled to. Much of that, frankly, I guess bears on the concept, or at least what has been said, that the defendant, Mr. Torres, was not in a position to see the accident. And that he was someplace else, which led to the plea. And again, it's not the court's province to get involved in what the particulars of the charge are, but to try to do its best to mete out a just sentence. part of the reason also that the court had made a determination to at least hear the 911 tapes. I have a copy of the police report as well as Mr. Torres.
Oh, that's funny. This is a bunch of backpedaling on Judge Simpson.
Yeah. Oh, you would think, wouldn't you?
That's by the reason. Oh, look, this is why I had to do it this way, and this is why I was begating my fucking moon.
Don't worry, chat. It's not over yet. We are we're about.
Are you? It's still not. Oh my god, you're right. It's not. What the fuck?
We are 38 minutes into 55 minutes. Still got under 20 minutes.
Was because I was going and I said to the parents that there may not be anything that the court could do, but you were going to be heard by this court. And in doing that, some things, as I saw them, were a bit disturbing to me. And, you know, I'm not in, nor should I be, in a position necessarily to do some investigation to try to figure out what transpired.
Now tell us exactly why you're going to do that anyways.
Entirely. But
okay.
You can already hear the but.
Just continue.
Initially, in listening to the 911 calls, particularly there were a few other calls, but I listened to Mr. Torres' call to 911. And that initially caused me some concern about whether or not the defendant saw this accident. And here's why. Mr. Torres initially contacts 911, and what was said to the court by Mr. Torres and what he had maintained to probation is that he didn't see this accident. I'm having a very difficult time believing that. And let me explain my reasons why. Defense counsel, I think, properly stated before that that Mr. Torres had called from someplace else. Mr. Torres contacts 911. It's an odd call because of the way that I think the dispatcher was responding to Mr. Torres. One of the things that was said is Mr. Torres put himself at First Street off of Superior. The dispatcher says, that's not where we have you. Put a pin in that because that becomes important.
So here's what it. Torres says he's down here. He pulled off on First Street.
Wait, is this a demonstrable done by the judge or is this done by the channel?
This is done by the channel. Channel's helping us explain
okay,
like where
you
it
did
is.
very, very important. Okay, yeah. That's good.
This
I
is
just
where
want
the
to make sure
accident
this isn't like what.
This is the train track, and this is where Torres is. Supposedly. The judge is saying he doesn't believe Mr. Torres is here. However, I'd like you to notice how many pull-offs there are on this road. What we do know for a fact from Mr. Torres is that he was pulled off on the side of the road. He was no longer on the main road, and he was pulled off before the train track. So the only place he could be is First Street or this side area, which looks like it might be somebody's private residence or some kind of park or something. So he has to be on one of these because we know he's pulled off on the side before the train track. And the girls are crashed up. So what I think probably happened is they started losing control here, probably started swerving a little bit down the road, and went off right here through this like thicket and then behind the tree, where we inevitably find them over here.
Yeah, that seems most likely as to what happened.
Yeah, and it's probably how they got behind this
But
trees.
again,
this
isn't something
area.
We should be litigating.
Yeah. But if we are litigating it, I feel like we need to be honest about what has happened. Because he is going to basically say he just does not believe Torres is here.
Yeah. Wait, which it doesn't matter what you believe or not. Like, oh, Jesus fucking Christ.
At some point, Mr. Torres then says, I'm at First Street. He's then headed back to the location of the initial contact between the vehicles. Okay. All of that being said, I then review the police report and Mr. Torres' statements. And if everyone can recall, one of the things that the court was looking at was, did Mr. Torres chase these individuals and cause this accident?
By the way, chat, I will sort of defend the prosecutor here. As far as she is concerned, her work on this is done. They have said that they're not charging him for this. Yeah. They've said they're not charging him for this secondary accident. They charged him for the first accident. He accepted a plea deal. Her job is done. They're supposed to just be sentencing.
When Judge Simpson said what the court was looking at, I'm sorry, I would have totally interjected inappropriately.
Been like, what do you mean what you were looking at?
Yeah, I would have had it out with Cedric. Yeah, I would be so passive aggressive and inappropriate right now because the judge is being inappropriate. Again, I'm not for like disruptive or inappropriate behavior in the courtroom, but if it is the only measure that you can take in order to defend your client from being railroaded by a fucking AWOL judge like this, then that's the route you have to take.
Yeah. Like everybody's kind of, both of these people right now are kind of in a shit position. Because he knows I think he's kind of resigned himself to the fact that he cannot say anything because he will not be listened. And that the judge is completely intent on railroading his client and he's just going to have to appeal. And then the prosecutor's like, I don't even know why I'm here. I told you my position already and he already accepted my position. Why are you dragging me back in to like relitigate this?
One of the things that was said in counter to that is that he's not near the accident.
Did you see that face he did? He is
Dude,
just...
that shake of the head in the face, dude, he's...
One of the things that was said in counter to
basically
that
you're
is
seeing his brain actually sort out in real time. Like, he is so angry, like, parts of his brain is arcing to one another that never have before.
Yeah. That's kind of why I feel like he has resigned himself to the fact that he has to just appeal and that's the only option. Because he is so... like blatantly upset. It'd be different if he was sitting here like really calm and I could maybe be like, okay, maybe he's dumb, maybe he's like on the decline or something as a lawyer and he just doesn't get it. No, he clearly sees how fucked this is.
It's taking a lot of control for him not to be like jumping up and down and screaming at this judge right now.
The shake of the head was him rewording the appeal he's writing.
Yeah. He's like, no, not like that. We're gonna have to word it like this. He's in his wine palace right now, making his Google Doc on Judge Simpson.
Is that he's not near the accident, doesn't see the accident. Again, I'm having a difficult time believing that. And part of the reason I'm having a difficult time believing that is because there is an EMU security camera that's referred to in the police report that has these vehicles traveling down Huron River Drive, both at a high rate of speed, because Mr. Torres is in an Equinox, I do believe, and there's a truck. At some point, they get to the corner of Huron River Drive in Superior. According to Mr. Torres, it is a red light. The truck stops. He stops at some point. The truck continues through the red light. Mr. Torres indicates from the report, at least as I read it, that he then turns on a green light. Now, how that certainly all could happen. Bottom line is that
he's trying to word this very confusingly, but all that happened is Torres said there was a stoplight, he stopped, the girls didn't, and then he decided to pull off. What I think is happening is there's probably like a light or something at that First Street place, and the girls kept going, and he just like, fuck it, they're gone, I'm turning onto First Street.
There then, Mr. Torres indicates in the police report that at some point on Superior, he disengages from, as he puts, following the vehicle. It's best the court's able to determine the distance from that corner of Superior where the turn is made to the railroad tracks It's approximately 1,000 feet. Mr. Torres is then.
So we're clear. I want to kind of shoot back forward where the guy made his little demonstrative. How far away? Somewhere in here. The judge is saying he should have seen it because the distance from here to the railroad is 1,000 feet. And the girls crashed right after the railroad. However, right after the railroad is twice the distance. So we're not talking about 1,000 feet from First Street to the accident. We're talking 1,000 feet from First Street railroad, and then probably approximately another 2,000 feet to the accident. He's now 3,000 feet approximately away. And you can see how big that is because here's a house right here, and it looks like a fairly nice house.
Not only that, but these railroads, they are usually built off on burrs, elevated, which means that, like, if you are standing on the corner of First Street and Superior Road and looking forward, you could not even see the Indian Hills Road. You cannot even see that because there's a giant hill with a railroad on top of it blocking your fucking view.
Like, let's assume he pulled out right here into where, like, this little gray part is. He has to look through all of these trees still to see it, even if this is completely flat, which it's probably not. There's a mass amount of trees between him and the accident. What the fuck are you talking about? He should be able to see it. It's 3,000 feet with 1,000,000 trees in between.
It's like 3 1/3 football fields.
That's a long time with a whole bunch of stuff in the way. And they're currently in a ravine. Not like a ravine, but they're like dipped down, basically. So now
you're like approaching 500 yards at that point.
Yeah. It's ridiculous that he's trying to make this assertion based on like his own investigation or whatever.
Which he should be doing in the first place.
Correct, and he is saying where he is to the dispatcher. This is where we take the pen out of that he's at first, but the dispatcher is saying that's not where we have you.
I don't know why he says this, and I don't know why the dispatcher said it. While dispatchers can sort of triangulate your position, they would not be able to triangulate.
It's only accurate within a couple city blocks.
Yeah, they would not be able to triangulate that he's not here. They would have like a giant circular radius in this area and be like, "Oh, you're somewhere."
He cannot have it. Yeah, I mean, he would probably take up like if it was coming on First Street, he would have margin for error pretty much going from Indian Hills to First Street, like in terms of diameter. Like that's how they don't have pinpoint accuracy with their freaking dispatch. So I don't know why he's saying that.
Yeah, we don't have you at First Street. Okay, well, your fucking dispatch thing could have us anywhere in this giant location because you don't have that kind of accuracy. I don't know why they said that.
It's not like he's calling with a landline. If he was calling with a landline, boom, they'd have his address and everything right up. But no, it's a cell phone. I mean, hell, up until recently, if you would call 911 on a cell phone, you would have to give them your physical location. They would have no way of knowing exactly where you were.
Yeah. Like, it's one of those things where even if we are allowing this into the case, which it shouldn't be at all, you are not giving this the proper weight it deserves. Like, you're taking this one side comment the dispatcher made and taking it as gospel when it doesn't even make sense.
Mr. Torres is further up that road, but even if I give the defendant the benefit of the doubt that as far as he went was first,
I'd like to point out where else is he in this road? Because we agree that he has pulled off on the side of the road. There's nowhere to pull off here. He has to pull off either before here, or you have to say he's literally right next to the accident and he pulled off on this Indian Hills Drive. Or this other side road, I guess, where he would directly see. That's kind of your two options. Either 2,000 feet away or right next to it. And we know he wasn't right next to it. I do like this person that kind of shows where it is.
Railroad tracks are approximately...
So this is supposedly, this turn here is where Mr. Torres is. The accident is somewhere down there. Somewhere.
100 feet from that location. It is a clear shot from that location to see those railroad tracks and that intersection. It is not as though there is a crest.
Okay, here we can kind of see it. Do you see this is the turnoff down here to the Indian Road? Or I believe that's the turnoff to the Indian Road Drive, Indian Hills Drive. Which means he's supposedly here or on the other side. The girls are back in the brush somewhere. There's no reason he would have been able to see this. Even like if some of this brush was cleared back a bit, he still wouldn't see it.
There is
Maybe he pulled off on the
there
train
is
tracks.
Something that from first would obstruct one's view. The other thing that was specifically asked of Mr. Torres is he made it very clear that he did not.
Okay, I think I'm right. I think what happened is they went off right here and kind of sneaked between this fence and these trees and then ended up somewhere back here.
Go over the railroad tracks, but the additional thing that was asked is whether or not he crossed a bridge. Mr. Torres says he did not cross a bridge. That can't be true. Because as you're going up Superior, to get to First, you have to cross the bridge. Moreover, when Mr. Torres is later questioned and talking to the dispatcher, he had to not only cross that bridge once, he had to cross it twice because he had to go over the bridge and he had to come back to get to the location where it occurred.
I'd say so, Your Honor.
I will say this as somebody who sort of lives in the country. Some of these little bridges we have around here, and based on like some of the pictures here, it looks like this is a very overgrown
They're not
area.
bridges.
Yeah, they're like these.
I mean, I don't consider the bridges. I live in the country too, and like a little thing that goes over like a burr or a ditch is not a bridge.
Yeah, and sometimes, especially in these really overgrown areas, if you don't kind of recognize that the road has changed, you don't even notice that you went over anything. Because it's so overgrown, the trees are right up next to the bridge. I think it's completely feasible he went over like some little creek divot and was just like, yeah, I didn't go over. I wouldn't call it a bridge either. I have like 2 outside my house. We don't call them a bridge.
In a moment.
No.
No.
Moreover, when you listen to the other 911 calls that are called in, 2 vehicles that are traveling to the south, so they're traveling the opposite direction from the Getty's roundabout.
Hey, I was right about it being north.
They see the vehicle go,
Good job.
well, basically off the railroad tracks and have the accident. From really, and honestly, I mean, I don't know exactly where they are, but from putting again the defendant where he says he is, they are at a much further distance from those tracks than would be Mr. Torres. He's much further, and let me preface this by saying, through the other hearings, it was stated to the court that he is nowhere near the tracks and that he is further from the tracks where this occurred. That can't be true and everything else be true. It just can't be. He is within 100 feet, really between 80 to 100 feet of that intersection when that vehicle goes off the road.
So he's really trying to play semantics here, where he's like, well, they said he was pretty far from the tracks, but...
Dude, you're not an investigator.
Yeah.
This is not your job. Oh my god.
It's not only not his job, he's not really doing the same thing, right? He's like, well, they said he was pretty far, but it was 100 feet, and I don't consider 100 feet pretty far. It's like, okay, well, you're not them. They considered 100 feet pretty far. That's not a contradiction.
Yeah.
I'd also like to point out, even though it shouldn't be relevant, Mr. Torres wears glasses. His vision is different from a regular person.
I mean, it would be relevant if we were litigating this. We
Yes.
shouldn't be litigating it, but we are.
Yeah. So, like, I'm not litigating it in the fact that it should be litigated. I'm just kind of annoyed that the judge is saying this stuff and then not taking into consideration the stuff that would hurt his argument. Like, Mr. Torres could see it. Well, first off, Mr. Torres wears
Yeah,
glasses.
because this is all. Yeah, this is only appropriate like in a trial, and no one's getting that right now, and that's incredibly inappropriate.
Yeah. Like, well, Mr. Torres should have seen it. Well, first off, he has glasses, Your Honor, so his vision is impaired compared to a normal person. Second off, you say 100 feet isn't pretty far. Well, with all due respect, you didn't write the report. The person who wrote the report felt 100 feet was pretty far, so it's pretty far. That's it's not a contradiction. That's just what they felt pretty far qualified as.
And it also is perplexing from the court standpoint. I thought I understood it initially. When Mr. Torres is telling the dispatcher that he has the license plate of the other vehicle, one is thinking, or at least I was thinking, that he is getting that license plate by following the vehicle. That's not the case. He actually had the license plate of the vehicle prior to it turning onto Superior. Hence, realistically, there is no reason whatsoever for him to have continued up Superior behind that truck.
Other than the fact that was the direction he
Unless
also
he was going home.
Yeah. Again,
Yeah, like, come
remember, he
on.
got a fender bender, which means the car was behind him, following him originally. So it meant he was going north on Superior too. And the only reason he pulled off was to talk to the police about the accident. Super chat, the judge is acting like he's Matlock, also head pats.
If somebody, and counsel, I will give you an opportunity to address the court on that. And like I said, I'm not here, and I explained to.
Well, because you haven't had it, you haven't given him a chance yet.
Yeah. I just think the attorney just knows he can't say anything. Pretty sure he's just defeated. Like, we gotta just the option.
Province regarding the charge. My province is to meet out the sentence with what's in front of me. The court at this point is of the opinion that Mr. Torres saw this happen. When he talks about the kicking up of dust and other things, the only place in that area that's going to happen is basically at those tracks. It's not going to happen.
Actually, Judge, had you looked at this side road that the kids ran off the road on, you would have noticed this is a dirt road. This is not a paved road. It is a dirt road. So if he sees a kick up of dust, it likely is because when their tires hit here to go off into the ditch, it kicked up a bunch of dust in the road. There's no reason he has to see it from here. That's stupid. That doesn't make any. In fact, all of this is gravel. So it would.
I've never wanted to fight a dirt before.
Yeah, like I think that's what's just really annoying me the most is not only should you not be doing this, you're not even doing it right. Like if you're gonna be wrong, at least be like
exactly.
At least do it correctly.
On the turn off of here on River Drive onto Superior. And, and I'll just say it. When I look at all of this, I'm having a hard time believing that he's telling me the truth.
I can't imagine, by the way,
oh my God,
being Mr. Torres and being a total layman like the law. Because I guarantee that this poor guy thinks that he can actually go to jail for like murder or something. Because he probably doesn't understand like
I mean, if I was Mr. Torres right now, I'd be fucking terrified.
Yeah. Like as a layman, you probably don't understand the concept of maximums He probably thinks that, yeah, the judge can just undo everything and send him to jail forever. And he's just stuck here having to listen to it.
It's kind of insane.
Ms. Weidling, can you just put that?
This is a side point. Can I ask this, though?
I'm believing that he's telling me the truth.
What?
Why do they always stand like this? With the hands in the vest? It's always.
Oh, yeah. I wish I could. Big deal. I don't know. I think it's because, like when, because I've worn those vests before, and it's kind of like a comfortable position to put, like, keep your core all tucked in and stuff. It's for me, it's self-comforting. So I'm wondering if even the bailiff right now just feels uncomfortable for Mr. Torres.
Possibly.
He's like, my God, this poor guy.
His arms are tired and it's an easy place to hook your hands. I guess that makes sense too. I'm one of the people that always stands with like my hands wrapped behind my back. But I guess if I had access to like a collar, I would do that.
Or right in front of me. Yeah.
It's just whenever you see guys with like the big tactical vests, they always have their hands like hooked in the thing. Or in like a group of them, there's always 3 or 4 guys that do it. And I've never worn one of those vests, so I don't see the enjoyment. Also, thank you for the raid, Royan. It's just something I noticed.
Swadling, can you just put that GPS up?
Can I say something?
I'll let you, if your counsel believes that should speak, then I will let you speak. But at the very bottom of the screen, you're going to see the turn from Huron River Drive onto Superior. Up at the top of the screen, you'll see.
Okay, so this is the bridge. I would argue this is in fact a bridge.
That is a bridge.
He could just be wrong then about what road he's on. Might have stopped here, like off on the side here. God, that is somebody's fancy ass house. See that? That's a riverfront property.
Kind of insane. Yeah, okay, what if the fender bender happened past the bridge?
Like right
and that's
here.
why when he called 911, he didn't say he crossed the bridge. Because at that time, he had not crossed the bridge. He was already across the bridge.
I think it is accepted that down here is where it happened. By the way, you can see Honorable Judge Cedric Simpson. I believe this is Tizzo also explaining what the judge is saying still. So this is still the YouTube channel's
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
That is a fancy house, though.
Railroad
That's
tracks.
a super... Dude, it has a roundabout.
If you look down from the railroad tracks off at Superior, that first street coming off, which would be as you're looking at the screen to the left, that's First Street. From there, you can see that there is a clear shot to that intersection with the railroad tracks.
You and me have a very different definition of what a clear shot is. There's a metric ass ton of trees.
Same.
In between.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Like, what the fuck? Like,
we have very different definitions on a straight shot.
Even the road is not a fucking straight shot. It fucking curves.
What was he driving? Somebody else got in a wreck, and he is being blamed for their wreck. And the judge is trying to argue that he was close enough to visibly see the wreck. Which, if there wasn't a big bajillion trees in the way, he might have very well been close enough to see the wreck. But there's a bajillion trees in the way.
If Mr. Torres is there, he has a clear shot to that whole area. When you also look at it just in terms of his timing of the calls, the other calls that are coming in, he can't not be in that area and see what happens. Because
okay, so this is back where Mr. Torres is. And then there's dust right here. Just when the Google Maps car went through.
Bro, what the... This just fucking present in the Google Map fucking picture. Are you kidding me?
For the Raiders who just got here a minute ago, the judge said it was only possible for him to have seen the dust back at the railroad track, ignoring the fact that this is a dirt road.
Pedro Henrique de Souza Almeida, I think I butchered that, but he said the way he talks about clear shot makes it sound like he has the eagle eyes. I'm like, yeah, he's got the eagle eyes perk from Project Zomboid.
Because the other calls come in shortly thereafter, and they're traveling north from the Gettys area, traveling southbound on Superior. They see.
Also, just a reminder, chat, none of this is even supposed to be talked about. None of this matters.
Yeah, this is still a sentencing hearing.
We're supposed to be talking about a fender bender that happened somewhere down
but
here.
We're still, we're failure to remain to talk to the police.
Yeah.
That's all. That's the only charge here. It's being sentenced, and we're doing what's so far in the weeds. Holy shit.
See it. I'm not here to worry about what's charged, what's not charged. I have to mete out the best sentence I can with what I have.
What? Wait, what?
And I will let you know, and counsel, I will give you an opportunity if you.
That is your only job, is to worry about what's been charged and what's not been charged.
But I do believe that jail time is appropriate given what I see. I can't.
Keep in mind that what he is charged with is leaving the scene of an accident, and the judge is saying, I believe jail time is appropriate. He was the victim of the accident, by the way.
This is disgusting.
He's being charged with leaving the accident that he was the victim of.
Well, no, let's be real. He's being charged as closely as he can for the death of those teens, even though he was not involved. That's what's happened here. I'm sorry. Honorable Judge Cedric Simpson, you are no longer honorable to me.
This is horrendous.
I cannot believe, this is a complete, horrendously egregious miscarriage of justice.
Yeah, I told Ava before this one, chat, that this was going to be like an angry one. Because I had like a blood vessel popping when I was listening to this at work. I was like, wait, what? We're still going?
I'm gonna kill so many zombies in the server after this, I swear to God.
Giving that.
How they're going to in town, I'm just gonna put on Freebird. Everyone's gonna die.
And I told the parents, I can't do that. But I certainly can do the best that I can to make sure something occurs.
See the way he's like talking on another monitor or something? Keeps like looking over to it and getting really frantic.
Yeah, no, dude, they're drafting their appeal as we speak.
Yeah, I also think he's also realized just how bad it is, because he's now being told.
I think, yeah.
Like, you're gonna give my client fucking jail time over your bullcrap.
Yeah, I think at first he was. Then this is what I mean by the attorney's lack of action or lack of out. And I get being defeated and everything, but I do think that a part of him went, okay, this is just judge being overly emotional and stuff like that. He's probably gonna get a bad sentencing, but it's not gonna be like horrible. And then he's like, oh yeah, no, I believe jail time's appropriate. That's when Joshua's fucking something that's popped out of his ass, and he went, oh shit, what? Like, I saw this coming before the adjournment of the previous sentencing hearing. That's why I was like, dude, Joshua, you need to be pushing a lot more. I see where this is going. It's not good for your client.
You can tell, like, because he's moving around a lot and how he just woke up really quick. And he's like, jail?
Yeah, no, he just got slapped in the face. Well, I fucking what?
That Mr. Torres was not present, that it was as it was portrayed.
I will say, I wonder if the prosecutor's even listening, because she wasn't necessary for today. Because it looks like she really has just tuned out entirely and hasn't paid attention to a word anybody said. Which, again, I'm not blaming her. Her job has been done. She was not supposed to be here.
No, she's working on another case. She's definitely working on another case.
Yeah, she was not supposed to be here at all. And she's like, yeah, my job's fucking done. I don't...
She's playing Bejeweled.
Side note, my mom used to work a job where she sat at a computer all day. And when she was not busy, she played a game that for some reason they had installed on all the workplace computers called Zuma. Which is like this, you're this little frog
Oh
that
yeah.
shoots marbles.
Yep. Yeah, I know. I'm fully aware of that game.
I have no idea, but it was
that
installed
game
on all her
was,
workplace
I bought my
computers.
grandma the full version of that game. Like, I found all the DLC and stuff on it. And I bought my grandma that, dude. That was the best I think it was a birthday present I ever could have given her. She played that fucking game every day for the next 5 years until her death. Like, I'm not joking. Like, she's like, fuck this game. I fuck with this. It's just a puzzle game.
It's
but
in my
okay.
soul. I feel it.
Yeah.
You know, it's had multiple sequels.
It has. It's a very popular game.
It's a fun style. I've seen other games try and copy the
deny.
style. The task runs are satisfying. There's a task run for Zuma. Okay.
Of course there is.
To this court a circumstance where he could not have seen it, that he would have been so far down on Superior that he wouldn't have seen the railroad tracks, then that's where I would land. And I would have no problem landing with that and justifying it.
Dude, look at look at the attorney's background.
Yeah.
It's moving. He is literally swaying back and forth, trying not to scream right now. This is probably the most upset but in control I've ever seen an attorney.
Yeah, chat.
And rightfully so, but this is like, seriously.
Ignore all of this going on.
He is
hone in on him real quick.
Yeah, look at the background of him. And especially the background provides some context as to how much he's moving.
He wouldn't have seen the railroad tracks, then that's where I would land.
His eyes are all over the place.
Landing with that and justifying it. I can't, based upon his own statements, justify that as being true. He had to see it. He's telling me he's 2 to 3 cars behind.
He's looking everywhere. He is trying to distract himself with anything he can find.
No, he's trying to find weapons. He's en route. He's en route to Jack Simpson's fucking courtroom. He's like, I'm gonna a table link, chair link, something. I need something.
Them. That he's following them. And that he's at first, and it's a clear shot to those railroad tracks. If somebody wants to tell me how I can come to a different conclusion, then please tell me that.
Yeah, you're not supposed to be looking at this. That's how you come to a different conclusion.
I won't tell you how to come to this conclusion, but I will remind you why we're fucking here.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not telling you to come to a different conclusion. What I'm telling you is you're not supposed to come to a conclusion about that at all, because that's not what's in front of the court. Not what this trial's about.
But I can take into account in terms of sentencing whether or not a defendant is being truthful with the court in terms of what they're saying. And
that's how he's tried to loop this around. Is he's trying to say, well, he's lied in another case, so he's dishonest.
Is he trying, like, perjury?
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck?
He's trying to say he's lied to the court before about other stuff, so I can't be truthful, and I'm allowed to take that into consideration. Yeah, but you did this huge runaround to get there. That's not going to work in your favor.
I'm going to hurt everything.
And
I'm going to hurt the space-time continuum at this point. That's how mad I am.
It's bad.
Blunt. I'm just a plain talker. I don't believe that he is. Counsel?
He is. You can even tell that he's mad. Mr. Torres is upset. Give him smack the table. Like, he's trying to keep his head on tight, because the attorney's probably told him that he needs to, like, be quiet and be respectful, but he's really mad, too.
Counsel, if prior to your... Mr. Torres is... I don't know that you can see him or not. He really wants to make a statement. I will arrange, counsel, I know you don't want him to. If you want, because since you're not here, if you want to talk to him, I will arrange to get him on a Zoom and get you guys into a breakout room so you can talk.
No, Judge, that's fine. I'm ready to make a comment when you're ready to hear it. I don't need.
Go ahead.
Judge, with all due respect, this is wildly inappropriate.
He just comes out right
There
with
we
it.
go.
He's
Thank
like,
you.
yeah, no, bro, this is
I
fucked.
mean, look, I'm sorry, and I get it. Joshua's being very respectful, far more respectful than I could ever be. But those words, with all due respect, this is highly inappropriate. I have been waiting for Joshua to say those words for the better part of an hour now.
Yeah. And like, I totally get Mr. Torres's perspective. His perspective, he's about to get like absolutely railroaded. Because again, you have to keep in mind that he is a layman. He does not understand court procedure and what courts are and aren't allowed to do. And from his perspective, he's about to get railroaded into prison for the rest of his life. He's still gonna get fucked in the sentencing. Like, this is deeply unfair. But honestly, nothing he says is going to help his case. His best bet is to just shut up.
For you to be doing an investigation on your own.
And sure,
Hold on, counsel.
Go ahead, Judge. You're the boss.
Counsel,
Yes, Judge.
Stop a moment. I think I acknowledge.
No. I'd be yelling over him. I'd be like, no, you stop. You said I get to talk. It's my turn to talk. You get to hear what I have to say on behalf of my client. What you have done is entirely inappropriate. I don't care your justification or anything like that. I'd like, oh, Jesus. Okay, just oh my God, I just for him only to get less than a sentence out before sentencing to come in.
He could not have seen it, that he was not following that. Anything that I have here is not an investigation. All I did was listen to the 911 and read the police report.
It's not an investigation. I just went out looking for evidence.
Yeah, for real.
What do you mean?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
It's not investigation. All I did was I went and got evidence against him.
I exert to the counsel, stop. I already said I wasn't supposed to do it. I'm doing it anyway.
So in that case, if you think that's inappropriate, then fine. You can go ahead with your statement. And then I will proceed to my sentence.
Right. In addition, Judge, you pulled up a map and you said that it's impossible to see, and it's possible to see where the accident was without actually being at the scene viewing it. There was
so
no
that
trial,
wasn't demonstrable by the judge then. He pulled up a fucking map. Are you kidding me?
Yep. Well, he is also explaining something else that I think is really important. But the judge isn't going to.
And you said that it's impossible to see, and it's possible to see where the accident was without actually being at the scene viewing it. There was no trial. There was no any opportunity for the defense to present you with counter evidence or anything like that, Judge.
Counsel, what do you want to give me? What do you want to give me?
I don't want to give you anything.
What
because
do you want to give me? No, Judge, counsel, if you're going to say I'm being unfair, what do you want to give me?
Judge, I want to tell you that I don't believe you should be considering anything that will occur.
See, the prosecutor just left. She just turned hers off and dipped. She's like, I'm not being a part of this shit.
Holy shit.
Like, and the judge is not going to understand, or he's going to refuse to understand it, but what the attorney's trying to get at here is, I don't want to give you evidence. You weren't supposed to hear any. Point blank, none. I'm not supposed to sit here and like
look at this.
counter bullshit you brought up.
That right now, that's still framed. That's still framed. That is a judge not in control of his emotions, not in control of the court, and not representative of what the court should be. I'm sorry, but Honorable Judge Cedric Simpson, you are unfit for duty as it stands to me.
Prosecutor slowly fades into the hedges. Yeah, you could tell the prosecutor
Judge,
just...
Dude, seriously, dude, the prosecutor just pulled the ripcord.
You just see the name pop up and then she's gone.
I know, oh shit. Oh, we're out of here. We're fucking out of here.
Thing that will occur after that.
What you represented to this court, and I realize you're advocating for your client about him being someplace further from that scene, It's not true. It's his own statements. These are not anything where I went out there and I'm looking at something or I'm doing whatever. It's just placement. He's saying he's at first. I just listened to the tape.
That's literally what you did.
I didn't do anything. I didn't go out there and investigate, talk to any witnesses.
Really? Then where? How about this map that you brought up? Where did that come from?
I didn't do any investigation, but what I found determined your client lied. How'd you find anything to determine my client lied? Was it through an investigation? Like, this is wild.
No, Judge Simpson is still active as far as I know.
Yeah, I have not found anything about this. Granted, this was only a year ago, and depending on how big or small they're going, this could take a while longer to set up. Or there could already be stuff moving in the background that just people haven't noticed yet and talked about.
All I did.
Right, Judge.
So if you want to give me something, counsel, you can come here 2 hours late. Give me what you want to give me.
Judge, I don't believe you should be considering anything after the fact of the initial accident. He's being sentenced for failure to stop at a PD accident. It has nothing to do with what he did afterwards. It's completely inappropriate for the court to be...
What he did afterwards?
After the accident, when he was initially rear-ended, that's what he pled to, failing to stop at that accident. It's not failing to stop at the accident that the girls were involved in. It's failure to stop at the accident where he was rear-ended. Ms. Reiser agrees.
If your client, knowing what I'm going to do, wishes to withdraw his plea, I will consider that motion.
That is, like, that's the thing. That's not fair to the client.
Wow.
He's like, if your client knows I'm going to fuck him, he can just withdraw his plea. It's like...
And Joshua just said something important, too. He just said, Miss Reiser agrees. Like, at this point, I don't know what the judge is arguing against. Yeah. The fucking state stance is in line with the defense's stance. Said, I hate when a judge sticks their fucking opinion, their whatever, their ego, whatever it is, in between. Everyone's in agreement. You're the one who's tripped up on this shit. Yeah. Get the fuck out of here. Recuse yourself.
Judge, I would also ask that you recuse yourself at this point.
There you go.
Oh, there we go.
He was saving it all for the end.
Yeah. Yeah, there we go.
Denied.
Understood. And I can, if you wouldn't mind allowing me to speak with Mr. Torres, my guess is he's going to withdraw his plea.
I'm sorry?
If you wouldn't mind allowing me to speak with Mr. Torres to make sure this is going to happen, but my guess is he will withdraw his plea.
Can we set up a breakout room for Mr. Torres? We're going to put you into one of the conference rooms out there, into a breakout room, and put your counsel into a breakout room so you guys can talk.
1 hour later.
We're back on the record in the Torres matter. Counsel had an opportunity to speak with his client. There's been also an opportunity for the court to speak with counsel.
You see that the attorney's now in a separate room, got the door open, he's talking with multiple people again.
Yeah, no, like, this is...
I think even...
I mean, I will say this. Joshua did ask for a recusal in an appropriate time because it was just following when Judge Simpson arraigned at him. I mean, he literally yelled at him.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, yeah, you are way too in your feelings about this. You need to recuse yourself. Denied, that's fine, but we're going to appeal. We're withdrawing the plea, and we're gonna fuck you in court, I swear to God.
Yeah.
And you as a judge will have to sit there with a smile and say, yes, please, Daddy, more.
Going to consider a motion to withdraw the plea, or the other end alike, the court is going to give the opportunity for them to file the written motion to do so if necessary. I'm not saying that that's what they're going to do, but
I want you to look at the attorney, by the way, when he's talking to this person. He's not even doing the fake smile thing anymore. He is just openly disdainful.
Necessary. I'm not saying that that's what they're going to do, but
that's angry talking right there. That's not even like the fake smile talking where he's trying to pretend like he's fine. He is pissed to the point he can't hide it.
Absolutely, yeah.
give that opportunity. So I'm going to adjourn these proceedings for the motion
Yeah, third
as
adjournment.
well as sentencing.
In a
I'll set both
sentencing.
at the same time.
Dude, how did this fall apart? So, dude, I swear to God.
3 adjournments in a sentencing with a already accepted plea deal.
You fucking incompetent dude. I don't know what happened to you, but yeah, incompetent on the highest level.
March, my next sentencing, March 13 for a continuation of the proceedings. I have directed counsel that everybody needs to be in person at that proceeding.
Understood.
All right. Bond will continue. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, so I can't remember exactly, but I think in the final sentencing, he ended up getting like 2 years straight of probation. And I think, I had to look into it, but I'm pretty sure it was the Michigan, he gave him the Michigan maximum sentence for leaving the scene of the accident. Like the absolute maximum. Because the plea deal he made with the prosecutor was something like just fines and costs, basically. See if I can find it. Literal clown court. Yeah, no, it was insane. Is it? Have to. I can probably find the other one that I see.
Now we have, as a
Does she have the March? She does. Okay, so this other channel has the March hearing, which was the last one. So we can see specifically what the judge ended up.
In person at that proceeding.
Understood.
All right. Bond will continue. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
You may be seated. Court does call the case of the People versus John Torres.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Patricia Reiser on behalf of the people.
Good afternoon, Judge. Joshua Van Lawn on behalf of Mr. Torres, who's present to my right. Sir, can you tell the judge your name, please?
John Torres.
All right. And you had previously reviewed the pre-sentence report. We've been here a few times.
That's correct, Judge. No additions, deletions, or corrections. We've talked about those already.
All right. And there's nothing else you'd like to say?
No, Judge. What I would indicate is the court has given us plenty of opportunity to think about this case, figure out how we want to proceed. We won't be withdrawing the plea. We'd like to go forward, and we rely on the prior statements that were made. Sad case. It just is.
All right. Both moms are here, I think. And ladies, was there, I know you've had also an opportunity to address the court, but is there anything else you'd like to say to the court?
No.
No? All right. Let me just say this, and in part, I will say this to
You said quite enough, young man.
the victims' families.
Yeah.
One of the things that I promised you more than anything else is that as we, I don't think it was the last hearing, but the hearing before, is that sometimes there can be a feeling that you're not heard. And the one thing that I promised to you is that at least as far as this judge, you would be heard. I would listen to you in your position, and I believe it's the
You did a
last
lot
hearing
more
that
than
I
listen.
laid out
Yeah.
that I looked at additional things prior to the sentence. I will also say that I have quite a hefty caseload in things. This is one of those cases that weighs very heavily on the court. In a lot of ways, because as I sit here, you always are trying to do the right thing. Both in terms of any victims and their families, as well as in terms of the defendant. And sometimes it's very difficult to reconcile that.
Holy shit, I thought I saw Hassan.
Come up with and
Hassan and
Yeah, the chair string, yeah. I mean, I at least saw his chair.
fashion something that can in one way make sense, and in another way allow everyone to, but particularly the victim's family, to have some closure to the tragedy. I can't bestow upon you, can't give to you in any way absolute closure, because some of that comes with time. Some of it, frankly, and it's a hard place to get to, comes with the notion of forgiveness. As I indicated before, and let me, rarely do I take people through my entirety of my thought process, and I won't share it all, but I'll share these parts. That day, all of those involved had certain responsibilities, and I'm not, and believe me, folks, I'm not trying to blame anybody necessarily. One of the things with drivers is, and it's, you think anybody that's a parent, when their child begins to drive.
So this is something I never touched on. Like how old this case is? Trying to find it really off to the side.
I mean, let's see here. This is Michigan, right?
Yes.
State of Michigan versus Torres.
For some reason, it's hard to find. Apparently, there's a lot of John
Court
Torres
of
in
Appeals,
Michigan.
Unpublished Appeals Station. Hold on. I think I might have found it. No, this is criminal sexual misconduct. Never mind. Jesus Christ.
Here, I'll keep searching.
Probably the hardest thing to, one of the hardest things to explain to them is that they have a certain responsibility when operating that vehicle to always have that vehicle under control. In a lot of ways, regardless of the circumstances, you have to have that vehicle under control. And then by the same token, you also explain to them that should something happen, regardless of what the circumstances are, you don't let your emotions or what we commonly might know of as road rage sort of take over and allow and do things that, quite frankly, in the grand scheme of things, make absolutely no sense. That's the problem I have, quite frankly, with you, Mr. Torres, is that you did something that didn't make any sense to me. Because it's almost like that road rage circumstance where all of a sudden you're, I think, causing this thing to happen. By the same token, and I say this with all respect to the family, I think you know how I feel about you guys. The young ladies in that car then have that other responsibility that I'm talking about, that you pray to your kids that they'll pay attention to, that they keep that vehicle under control regardless of anything else, that they just drive and do things safely. Reality is that at times when these things are going on, people aren't thinking. And then they're saying things one way after the fact, and that may not match up with something. Doesn't make any sense in a lot of ways. I wish, I wish that the powers that come to me to be able to impose a sentence, that I could just put everybody back. That would make me the happiest. But I can't, and I know I can't. That is the greatest frustration. I also know that I could follow this recommendation to the letter, impose the jail time 45 days from now, outside of the probationary period, when Mr. Torres walks out of the jail. Nothing's changed. Nothing. And so in that respect, what have we really done? What I don't want more than anything, and this may be a sort of weird way of doing it, but I don't want those two young ladies ever forgotten. That's what I don't want. Whether I send them to jail, don't send them to jail, I don't want them forgotten. Those were two vibrant lives that, given all the circumstances of that day, are no longer with us. And so I hope the family can understand what I'm about to do and can appreciate it. I'm not sometimes when people look up at the robe and everything else, they think we always have the answers to everything, and I don't. I freely admit that. But I just do the best that I can with what I have in this. And when I boil it all down, I don't want your daughters forgotten. It is therefore the sentence of the court that you are placed on the maximum probation that I can sentence you to, which is 24 months probation. I'm going to increase the fines and costs in this case, and you are to pay $1,555 fines and court costs, $720 probation oversight fees. When can that be paid?
Today.
That's to be paid today. There is to be no use of alcohol, recreational marijuana, or any illegal substance. You'll be subject to random testing as requested by probation. You are to complete a driver improvement course
What the
as
fuck?
directed by probation. I'm going to order that you complete 100 hours of community service with proof to probation. I'm going to order that the defendant, I'm going to order 90 days in jail, credit 1 day served.
Are you fucking
The
kidding me?
defendant
Leaving the scene of a fender bender. He has gotten 3
2
months
years
prison.
of probation.
Yeah.
And 3 months in fucking jail. I'm gonna.
3 months
Oh my
jail.
God.
2 years probation. I believe, what do you say, 100 days community service? So another not 3 months. Yeah, another like 3.5 months community service. Almost $3,000 of fines. Random drug screening. While the other drug stuff is fine, he is not legally allowed to consume any alcohol. And you have to think, alcohol is not that, like, odd or strange. Pretty common for, like, just the average American to have a beer.
And again, it's normally, is it like, okay, if, like, was it proven he was under the influence or something? Like, it needs to make sense. The terms of the probation here makes it seem like this was a drunk driver situation where he, in a rage, chased down these girls who fucking died trying to escape his drunken rage.
Yeah.
Based on the sentencing here.
He's just giving him the maximum
If
of
I were
everything
to
he
look at
can.
nothing except for the sentencing and his reading of the sentencing, I would think that this is some kind of like DUI related offense.
Yeah. And then you'd see the actual charge, and it's like leaving the scene of a
And I would
fender
be fucking livid. Yeah.
when he was the victim. Again, he was the victim of the
Yeah,
fender
the judge
bender.
is literally doing everything he can.
will
He's
serve
not considering
45 days
any of the
this
various
sentence.
mitigating circumstances that would be approached.
Days in jail, credit 1 day served. The defendant will serve 45 days of this sentence, but that serving of those 45 days will not begin immediately. The defendant is ordered to report to the Washtenaw County Jail on Friday, August 2nd, 2024. It will be the 3rd anniversary of when this tragedy occurred. When you report to the jail that way, and it's all that I can do, those 2 young ladies will have to be remembered on that day. The remainder of the sentence is suspended. I will tell you, Mr. Torres, if you do not follow my orders in this sentence to the letter, those other 45 days will be served by you. Am I understood?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your
Why don't you guys wait until let them leave and let them wait for a moment.
Officer Cole is present.
I will say, this is something odd I've noticed, but basically all of the different channels that cover legal stuff seemed to be on the judge's side in this. And I find it very odd.
I saw that a lot, but like the comments don't reflect that either. Like
Yeah.
the
Even with the other case we covered,
the commentary channels might be framing it. Yeah, I saw one. It said
the one we
it said
just did
attorney Bizzleman, and like it was throwing in random. Well, yeah, bring up the thumbnails on some of this stuff.
Yeah, and
Like there was one that the thumbnail was insane.
yeah. But if you actually go down to like it's this one, comments on these. You have a couple people, like the prosecutors, like, OMG, the judge did more investigative work than we did. But then you have people that are normal. The defense attorney is retaining an immense amount of rage at this point. You can almost see the steam escaping from his head. As hard as it is to say, because 2 girls died, the lawyer has a point. He stopped following and chasing them when they crashed. They did the wrong thing after the fender bender, but it did not deserve a death sentence. However, them taking off is not Torres' fault. It's kind of reasonable to follow someone who hit you and took off. You do have a couple people, like, incredible, respect the judge for his whatever. Defendant is ably represented. He's lucky to have such a good attorney. Judge Simpson seems to be trying to hold the defendant responsible for causing these girls' deaths, despite the fact the prosecutor has already withdrawn the charge. And then with the goes.
That is, yeah, Linus K500, whoever said that, that is appropriate. Like, that's just an gut reporting other thing. A lot of people, I love and respect the wisdom. No, this judge has shown no wisdom or aplomb or professionalism in this particular case. He let his emotions rule his entire decision-making process to the point where he adjourned the sentencing 3 fucking times.
Like, even this channel pinned it. Judge Simpson made himself not only the judge, but jury and county prosecutor. Should have definitely recused himself, as he even stated that he was emotional. Law is not supposed to show bias or emotion, and influenced by, quote, being a father, and making up facts that were not presented to him until he did his own minor investigation. That means they hit and run and crashed while fleeing, and they want to send him to jail, hope he gets a jury trial. Judge Simpson lost all objectivity in this case. It's clear he let his emotions take over and do the talking.
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty. And for some reason, a lot of people, especially a lot of the channels, seem to be on Judge Simpson's side. And I'm like, no, this is pretty blatant. Like, you could, there's an argument to be made about whether or not you think the prosecutor did their job, but there's not an argument to be made whether or not Judge Simpson did a good job. He is, it's like, bringing up tons of random shit.
Yeah, no, that was just objectively a bad job.
Yeah.
That was bad judging.
It was.
Which, again, I like Judge Simpson, generally speaking, but, like, I can't say that I haven't lost a lot of respect from him by seeing this case.
Yeah. And I've searched through a bunch of the different, like, Michigan law places. I cannot find this guy's case anywhere. And none of the channels actually have a link to sort of, like, case for it. I have no idea where this case is at. Like, where the writing of it's at.
Yeah, I'm having trouble finding it, too.
I don't understand why it's so difficult.
Not to mention there's a shitload of John Torreses in Michigan who apparently had run-ins with the law.
Apparently there is a...
Like, dating back to 98 for some fucking reason.
Yeah, did you see the one dating back to 98 is a Michigan Supreme Court decision?
Yeah.
So that one kind of dominates the searches, because it was a Supreme Court decision.
Yeah,
Michigan
it does.
Supreme. You like him? Is this level of incompetence unusual for him? Yes. This is, like, wildly out of character.
Yes, it is. Like, usually he's a little, like, he entertains things a little more than I would as a judge, but honestly, respectable approach in how he does his adjudications. But, like, this time, I'm sorry, just absolute drop of the ball.
Yeah. Would you like, because chat said they wanted a Detox one. I have not vetted this one, but would you like to see this one off to the side? Defendant goes on the run during Zoom.
Sure. Also, do you want to post up real quick a little follow-up that I showed you before stream started?
Which?
That if you guys remember, a couple weeks ago we covered the cross-examination of Shannon Burgess, the guy who the expert witness with Aperture. Turns out he has in fact since been terminated from Aperture. So good old state witness, expert witness, has lost his entire career because of his incompetence.
Shannon Burgess has officially been terminated by Aperture. According to their website, his name no longer appears under their experts category. Welcher is still on there, though. Good riddance. There's a proposed community note. At the time of this post, there is no confirmation that Burgess has been terminated. The reason for his absence on the website are publicly known at this time. Oh, that's just a link to him not being on the website. That's a stupid community note.
Okay, that's a contrarian note. I'm sorry, fuck you. We can speculate. with a high amount of certainty that the reason why he's been removed from the fucking website is because he's no longer an employee with Aperture. Like, come on. Like, Jesus, God.
But yeah, so chat really quick, because everybody wanted a detox. This is a shorter case. It's not like super short, but it is shorter.
Welcome.
Defendant goes on the run during Zoom call. And the thumbnail
Wait,
has...
fucking what? I'm sorry, what? He says, dude, I'm fucking out of here. Fuck this.
I saw the thumbnail, and I want to see what he said.
On your case,
this has got to be
I'm
good.
not inclined to give you early termination.
Gee, smoked already.
I mean, what you did was...
Look how packed this room is, by the way, behind this lady.
Yeah, this is a very popular court.
Awful. And there's a concern with you.
What is the smoke?
Working...
Oh, he had like little things.
Okay, just make it come like this. When I see that, I go,
he does more like
is the courtroom okay?
I've seen this channel a couple times. He does like a sillier thing, and he typically does like a compilation of cases. So we'll see like a couple of different sillier ones. By the way, the channel for this one is Lockdown 20 and 1.
Oh, I love Lockdown 23 and 1. He's good. He's good stuff.
Elderly, which is what I put in here, that you're not allowed to have any work with vulnerable persons, any elderly people.
Oh no, what'd she do?
So you want to be terminated early. Why should I do that?
Because, I mean, yes, I understand what I did was wrong, but I've never violated probation. I've never failed a drug test. I hold a steady job, and it's not even in the medical field anymore. I've been doing good. I know what I do.
Oh, is she trying to argue away her community service?
Possibly.
That's what it sounds like.
Sometimes it's better to just take the L. Because you can talk yourself into something worse just as easy. It's way easier than you can talk yourself out of it.
You can. Disrespect of the court and their time can absolutely land you with a worse punishment than had you just taken the L.
Me, and then just move forward with myself, better myself for my kids and myself.
Kids or baby goats? I wish people would stop
using children.
Thank you. I wish people would stop using the word kids for children.
Kids or baby goats? What does that mean, ma'am? The judge said that to me. I know it's Smoketown.
Kids or baby goats? I wish people would stop using
children.
Thank you.
Baby goats are cute though.
The complainant wants to move forward too, but you know why the complainant can't?
I already don't like this judge. I'm sorry. Like, I don't give a shit about your vernacular.
Yeah, that.
You knew what I meant when I said kids. Fuck you.
Really move forward?
Why?
They don't have their engagement ring.
Ah.
So where's their engagement ring?
I'm not sure.
Find their engagement ring, and then maybe I'll consider early termination.
Ma'am, when I was sentenced for this, I thought we already charged it to the game.
So, I think I actually remember this case from like a longer court session. I'm pretty sure
this is a case of theft, and it looks like she
was robbing from elderly people.
You go for it, 'cause
she was supposed to be caring for.
She was. Oh my God.
She was an adult carer.
Oh Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Was I don't know what they said would happen.
Jesus.
Yeah.
With it, but I know it was. From my understanding, it was pawned in the pawn shop or something.
Well, I mean, this is an engagement ring that you're responsible for. So what do you mean? You're saying you're understanding that it was pawned in the pawn shop. You're acting like some phantom did that. Who pawned it in the pawn shop?
Myself.
All right, so where is their engagement ring? They want their engagement ring. You're before me saying you want your...
I'm sorry, that was funny.
It was.
That was so funny how she... Yeah, it's my understanding that the ring had been pawned by who? Myself? Okay, well, okay, fuck off. You know, with that fucking wording.
probation terminated early because you're ready to move on with your life. She wants her engagement ring. And since this is an elderly person, that means that that engagement ring, they probably had it since who knows where, how long. And that engagement ring cost that person $15,000. And how much did you pawn it for?
I don't even remember. It's been a few years now.
Yeah. See, here's the thing. You committed.
Come up with a random number at that point. Like, if you're going to sit here and argue in court, come up with a random number. Like, even if it's a number that makes you look bad, be like, oh, $dollars. No, you can't just be like, I forgot. It's not going to look good in front of the judge.
No, you can't. Because, I mean, it's easy enough to go to the pawn store and get that information. Like, the court will subpoena the pawn store for the records, and then, boom, they've got when you freaking submit that. If you submitted it with the right information. If you put in a false name or anything, which probably wouldn't work because it's jewelry, and depending on the state that they're in, there's like a lot of actual like record keeping in like the pawnbroker business, depending on the state that you're in. So like again, like yeah, this is easy enough to get information. Don't lie. Don't say you don't remember. If you have to, just make up a number, like Mizu said, because saying I don't know just makes you look fucking dumb.
Yeah.
The crime.
She remembers.
And for you, it's like, oh, I'm done. I don't even remember.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm not giving you early termination. You're going to do every bit of the 8 years that you're on for this probation. And you need to sit and think about the engagement ring that you stole from an elderly person when they allowed you into their home to take care of them, and you went and pawned it, and you're walking around enjoying your best life.
Okay, I get it now. She's getting smoked.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Eyelashes that are too long. I don't know why people are doing that. I think that's a new style or something. But no. So you are not going to be offered probation early. So probation, please tell probation officers to quit submitting me documentation asking for her to be taken off early. I'll only truly consider taking you off probation early if you return her $15,000 engagement ring that you took to some pawn shop and they probably gave you maybe $200 for it. She wants her engagement ring back, and you should want her to have it back. And until you internalize what you did to her, an elderly person allowing you into their home to work and you stealing their engagement ring, you have learned nothing on probation.
Yeah.
That's all.
Appropriate.
The answer is no.
Yeah.
Judge may
yeah, good. There you go. Dismissed.
You heard it from the judge's mouth. The eyelashes are way too long. And you're doing every drop of probation, which is a little strenuous if you're to ask me, ma'am. You know, I mean, she's doing everything right. Yeah, she stole someone's engagement ring. It's pawned. It's gone. Everybody knows that, including the judge, but she's making it seem like she can just retrieve it. But just like doing bad, you get punished. If you're doing...
I will say, the judge is not trying to make it sound like she did it. She's basically being like, you have fucked them over in a way that you can't fix and they can't fix. So why do you want me to give you like leniency?
Her saying, hey, look, I will give you early termination if you produce the ring, is basically saying, look, what you did cannot be fixed. Like, it could be with magic, but you don't have that, so you're gonna finish off your termination. You're not getting early termination.
Yeah. Like, when you can fix their thing, I will help you out.
You stole from an elderly person. Holy shit. Like, a $15,000 ring. Probably appraised at that value at the time of purchase, which means it's was worth quite a bit more than even that.
Yeah. Good, you should be rewarded in some way. She's been out in the streets, held a job, doing what's right for a few years, crime-free, being responsible, has multiple letters from probation officers written to the judge to release her from probation. This lady right here, if you're to ask me, unless she's just being really good and hiding everything for years, is a prime example of someone that has probably changed their life and is ready to be a model square citizen. But the judge saw otherwise. You know, that's just how it goes sometimes. I want to know from y'all.
Something that I think a lot of people forget is...
Yeah, no, I mean, I get, like, on paper here, like, the woman looks good. She's got a job, she's got a life together, she's been behaving for the last few years. On paper, in which all of the probation officers were going to send to the judge is what appears on paper, what is actually being done. Yeah, she looks good. But when put in front of the judge and asked about this stuff, you can still tell there's no regret, there's no remorse, there's none of that. She just doesn't want to deal with the punishment anymore. And I'm sorry, but that's not enough for me to terminate your probation early. It just isn't.
Exactly.
Maybe if there was more remorse or regret and like actual attempt to like restore what was lost, like even a desire to do that, would tell me, okay, maybe there's something here. But no, there's none of that. You showed up here. Hey, I've been showing up to church once a week. I want to be laid off now. That's not how this works.
Exactly.
You got to give a little bit more.
On the comments section if you feel as though she should have been released early from probation. Me personally, I would have made sure she paid her restitution and fines. If so, then yeah, see you later. Have a good life. Don't steal no more. All right, next up we got Daniel Lehman Jr., the defendant. We have your Honorable Judge Webster. And of course, the legendary Sallyport. Wow, and I always thought it was a holding area for inmates. Anyways, I forget what this guy's even going into the courtroom for, but he's gonna disagree with the judge on all levels.
This is the one that was in the thumbnail that I'm excited to see.
Disagrees with her so much that he goes on the run.
Is this the one where they just go for it?
Yeah.
Oh, he's like, okay, yeah, this is the one.
Some choice words for the courts in the state on his way out. This is what I call digging yourself a much bigger ditch than what you're already in.
Daniel Lyman, are you here?
Lyman.
Your Honor.
I said Lehman.
You still don't have counsel, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, let's take up your case.
I know today is my possession of marijuana on the payer appear and everything.
Okay, let me call that case number. We're on the record now in 2021 CR 274, State of Kansas versus Daniel Lynn Lyman Jr. The state appearing by and through Jared Regier, and the defendant in person and pro se.
Are you good with Judge Webster? That was through Regier? Like what?
A situation.
Webster is kind of weird with the way she speaks. I've seen a couple of her cases.
Yeah, it's just a little.
She just has a weird
The
inflection.
vernacular was throwing me just a bit.
Like, from what I've seen of her, she seems nice, but she just has like a weird vernacular thing going on.
Situation where you are supposed to pay November 28th, 2022. You did indicate you wanted to represent yourself without counsel and waived counsel on record. And you had been on diversion. You got another charge of driving while suspended. You ended up, it looks like, getting your diversion revoked, being found guilty at trial, sentenced, and you were supposed to have your case paid by today, February 6th. Now, what were you saying, sir?
The reason why I haven't had it paid yet is because the job that I was supposed to go for at American Eagle in Ottawa, it didn't plan out as planned. So I'm working at a motel over here in El Dorado.
Okay.
And it's just not bringing in as much money as it should. And I get paid twice a month. I have a lot of bills to pay, plus my court fines. I'm not trying to miss any of my court fines. I'm not trying to do any of that. I'm trying to pay everything that I can at once. I was just going to ask you if I can start paying maybe between $20 and $50 a month. And my first payment I can put on this one is on the 8th of this month, guaranteed.
Well, you've always been allowed to make payments as long as you had it paid in full by your pay or appear date, i.e. today. So, now remind me, are you married or single?
I am single.
And remind me if you have children you support.
Right now I have a stepchild that I support.
Now you're single, but you have a stepchild that you support.
Yes, because I am in a relationship. I'm not married or anything. I'm in a relationship.
Not what single means.
Oh, buddy.
I'm single. Okay, do you support any children? I have a stepchild. What?
But I support me, my fiance, and our child right now.
Now it's the fiance. Bro. You can't.
Well,
in the courts, it's always your child and it's your fiance. Always, man. You can't leave them behind. If you say it's your girlfriend of 2 weeks and her kid, you just met him, it ain't gonna hold the same kind of weight. You know what I mean?
because
I
we
don't
are
know why
losing.
you're supporting why you've taken on new obligations when you haven't taken care of your old ones, such as paying your
Ooh.
case. You owe, sir, $658.
Yes, ma'am, I understand.
It's not that
And
much.
you have not made any payments since November?
Shaking them down. Shaking them down.
And like I said, I have this job and everything. I've been paying my bills and everything because I do have rent to pay. I have my phone bill. I have my SR22 insurance that I'm trying to pay, so that way I can also get my license back. I have my fines to pay.
I had to pay an SR22, man, and things are pricey. Ma'am, you gotta give them a break.
I have a lot of stuff to pay right now, honestly, and I'm just not trying to go to jail over all this.
Well, I was going to say, I was going to ask you if you thought it'd be easier just to go serve the 90 days in jail and send these costs to civil collections. Do you want to do that?
Yeah, that's not gonna work for me, Your Honor. My schedule's tight. Like I said, I could pay 50 guaranteed on the 8th.
I was going to ask you if you thought it'd be easier just to go.
Yeah.
Okay. I just caught myself. He's a pro se defender. I shouldn't say shit. I just tried to represent him and like, why isn't he doing that? Because he's dumb. He's defending himself. I've answered my own question. But like, your response to the judge asking you that, well, if I go to jail for 90 days, I lose my job, my apartment, my phone, my SR22, soft made, I have to restate that. Like, all of a sudden, my life is in ruins over a $600 fine. Do you want to put me and my family and those I am obligated to at risk over $650?
Yeah.
I'd like to declare myself indignant, and I am here to make that case. But again, this is a pro se litigant, so he doesn't know to say any of these things.
Exactly.
Serve the 90 days in jail and send these costs to civil collections. Do you want to do that?
I don't, because it just messed everything up. Because I still have my Lyon County court case for my 2021 case back then when I had that case that I'm still trying to pay on as well.
What do you have going on in Lyon County?
I got it before this possession of marijuana case. It was a
I murdered 3 people. What? Sorry, he said. Yeah, I still got these fines in. What was that one? Assault and battery. Oh my god, this is so much worse.
No DL at the time, and they dropped the duty of driver down to a no DL, and I'm just having to pay on that of $377 as well.
So you had a car wreck?
Yes, ma'am.
Without insurance?
No, it was with insurance. It was with insurance.
Okay, and you didn't report it to law enforcement, and they found out about it?
Oh, yes, ma'am. It was my fault. I take all.
When did you do that?
That was in 2021, almost 2 years ago.
This case was in 2021, June of 2021. When was your Lyon County?
It was after I got served papers when I was on house arrest in Lyon County. Because I had completed my house arrest and I was on house arrest.
Notice how this keeps like developing. The story keeps going.
It does. Like how does he keep? Like, how does these keep getting worse? Yeah. What is happening? This was a marijuana charge, and all of a sudden, house arrest and all these other things are coming out. Like, what you got priors in other counties? What the fuck?
Yeah. So she randomly finds out he has a prior. Then she goes, "Okay, well, what happened in the prior? Oh, well, XYZ happened. No, it was just like right after my other prior." And she's like, "Again? Another one? What do you mean?" It's so funny. It just keeps going, adding more to it. I think at this point you should just take the L and be like, you know what, Your Honor, I will, if you'll give me the opportunity, I will pay it today, right now. I will be at the court.
I don't think he has the money.
Definitely.
I literally don't think he has the money.
Oh, he definitely doesn't, for sure. But I would say it. Go take out a loan or something. I don't know.
If he has any amount of money to pay, like literally like $20, look, as a show of good faith, I will pay everything I have available to it right now. I will try to make other payments, but like that's all he can do right here to like save face with the court is make an effort in good faith to like, hey, I do intend to pay this off. I know I can't right now, but this is the first step towards that.
Pretty much.
When I got into the wreck, I didn't report it. I got in trouble. I got a ticket.
How were you on house arrest and driving at the same time? House arrest means jail.
House arrest, I was going to work and back, and I ended up getting in a wreck.
Okay, so they gave you work release from your house arrest?
Yes, ma'am.
And on your way to or from, you had a wreck, and then you didn't report it.
And I failed to report it.
Okay, well, I just kind of wanted an idea of what was going on over there. Have you paid anything on that case?
I've been slowly paying on it and everything. I try to make $10 payments. If I can't make it, I call them and let them know, and they told me just to pay it next month and everything. So I have owed $377. I've only paid $20 on their case so far too.
So how come they?
Did you hear what he said?
That's not. I'm making payments. $20 isn't payments. That's at most 2 payments. Oh, based on the rubric you provided, which I can't even confirm. What the fuck?
He says, I pay $10 when I can. How much have you paid so far? $20?
I've gotten $20 and I haven't gotten anything.
Nah.
I love that. They got $20. I didn't get shit.
Shake those pockets, Your Honor. He's got something. Sallyport ain't got time for none of this.
Well, how come they've gotten $20 and I haven't gotten anything?
I apologize. Like I said, I'm trying to pay everything all at once, and it's just all adding up on me. And I really don't want to go to jail over all this. I want to try to get it all paid. I know I'm not being very good at it right now, but I do apologize with everything I have, you know, and my first payment I can make.
Hang on, and you were on house arrest, and you got served with papers for possessing marijuana in another county. Is that what you told me?
By the way, did she just say
Marijuanas.
marijuanas?
I'm sorry, she just said marijuanas. Yes, she did.
I love when old
I'm gonna
people
inject
talk about
marijuana
weed.
into my eyeball so I can be possessed by Satan.
I love when old people talk about marijuana. Because they...
Hey, how many marijuanas do you think you would take to get high?
Yeah, because they don't understand, like, how people do marijuana. So they try and, like, put it into random rubrics. And it's like, no,
The
look...
plural of marijuana is marijuana.
Marijuana.
Marijuana. And that's even a made-up word, too. Made up in the late 20s, early 30s. To make it sound more ethnic and scary to the average American. Cannabis is really what it was always called historically.
Yeah. It's so funny when old people talk about it. They always have weird ways to refer to it.
Marijuanas.
Originally, back in 21, if you can let me just start over real quick. I got pulled over in the state of Kansas and in Butler County area, and I had my warrants active for Lyon County and Butler County at the time. I ended up serving my 7 days in Butler County for the city court. They transferred me over to Butler County or Lyon County after I got stopped for my possession of marijuana. And that's how I got my possession of marijuana. They did not take me to jail over my possession of marijuana. They charged me for my warrants, took me to jail over them. I served my time.
Now we've got warrants. Stop telling the judge about what happened. They didn't take me to jail over the marijuana. They took me to jail over the warrants.
Dude, this is so, like, I mean... Now he's got what mine he had once that he has apparently served.
It's just funny how it just keeps going. Like,
this is wild.
We were in court for a fine over weed.
It keeps escalating.
And he just keeps adding more of his charges.
How the flip... Possession of marijuana has turned into so much more.
Time in Butler and Lyon County Jail, got out on house arrest. By the time I got out on house arrest, I was served my marijuana papers. I got diversion for those. I completed my house arrest, got off, and now I just been fighting my duty of driver/no driver's license over there, been trying to pay that off. Then I got another one through you guys for the no driver's license back in July and everything, and I just been trying to pay all 3 of these tickets off and paying my rent, my phone bill, my SR22 insurance to get my license back. I'm trying it all, you know. I'm trying hard as I can and best as I can.
He's doing his
Mr.
best.
Lyman, I'm going to modify your sentence.
Uh-oh. Modify sentence means, you know, she could say, I'm gonna go ahead and remove these fees, man. Just don't come up in my county no more. Or she could say, look, I didn't even get a 20, man. You're going to jail.
The remainder of your probation is going to, well, let me check. How long did we put him on probation for originally, Mr. Aguirre? Was it 6 months non-reporting in November?
Your Honor, I'm showing in the journal entry non-reporting probation of 6 months following the court's order from the November 28th, 2022 hearing.
Sounds like she might be cutting him a break.
If he doesn't have this paid in full in 30 days, I'd like to do a motion to revoke diversion and modify this bill. I'm going to put you on reporting probation.
He don't like that.
You know, I feel like this is really unfair on me because, you know, I've had it really hard the past few years and I've been trying to get out of trouble. And, you know, I may not be able to pay all my fines off right away, but I am trying. And I feel like this is unfair because I do not get a break. I've not had a break since I've been 16 years old with the justice system.
It's shifting.
Yeah, they don't care about all that. That's a bunch of mollywalk. They don't, yeah.
Well, I mean, it really doesn't help.
Also, I just use the term mollywalk.
It just really doesn't help when you're like, Judge, I've been trying really hard.
It's not fair, Judge.
But I've had trouble with the law since I was 16. It's like, that doesn't help your case.
So should we put habitual as a aggravating factor to your sentencing?
Just keeps adding more.
And I feel like this is truly unfair. In the state of Kansas, I always get in trouble. When I lived in Oklahoma for 3 years, I never got in trouble. I have not had one driving ticket, nothing in the state of Oklahoma. I come back to Kansas and I get in so much trouble. And
See this guy just roll up to hear what's going on. Just walked into the room out of nowhere.
Oh yeah, yes, he's my what's up? He really said it. He did.
I don't even do anything. I drove once.
Oh no, we got a secondary Sally port coming in. Not good. Zoom quarter, not, man. They'll come get you.
And I just feel like this is unfair on me.
I wonder if they didn't know about all this stuff, and now he's sitting here like, did you know he had like 20? Was that on the record?
Yeah, just getting everything together. Dude, this guy's gonna hit this guy. I hope he's realizing at some point he dug himself way too deep. He needs to pull the core.
Pull out, bro. Just stop. No more.
Just because I can't pay a fine.
Okay, sir, I understood you to say you drove in Lyon County and you wrecked and didn't report it. So there, you drove that day, right?
Yes, that was my fault. But in the meantime,
I understood
it's all your fault, bro.
You drove in Butler County, and after this case,
yes, ma'am.
Marijuana.
Oh yes. Oh my
So
God.
1 + 1 = 2, Mr. Lyon. So you've driven at least twice illegally in Kansas.
Oh Jesus.
Yes, ma'am. I have, but that is because I have to go to work and back. How am I supposed to go to work and back while I'm trying to get my license without anyone offering me to give rides? I'm not trying to walk out of town. If I live in Leon, Kansas with my parents at the time, how am I supposed to get back and forth to work if they can't give me rides and I'm the only one with the vehicle, but they don't want to wake up to give me rides and I have to go to work to go pay my stuff? How is this all fair with me? Because people won't give me rides. I can't drive and stuff like that. Yes, I live in El Dorado now and I walk to my workplace and everything, but
Where do you work in El Dorado now?
I work at motels, the Motel 6.
You told me that. And where do you live?
Silverwood Apartments.
Okay, so that's not too far from where you work.
No, ma'am. And that's why I said I walk now. I don't drive. I'm trying everything that I can. You know, right now I feel like everything is gathering up on me and I can't have a chance to do anything because I'm trying to get my life together. I promise you. I'm not trying to drive. I'm not trying to get in trouble.
Stop. Okay, you said you haven't been given a break. It looks like you were put on the deferred docket disposition docket, which means you were what? Given diversion in this case initially?
Yes, ma'am.
And then you didn't comply with that was a break.
You were given a break, dude.
If you'd done what you were supposed to, the charges would have been dismissed and kept off your record. So wasn't that a break? And you didn't comply with it, so you got that revoked. And then you were sentenced and given terms. I let you pick when you were going to pay this off, and you picked today. And
he picked this
then you
date.
didn't comply with that. You know, I didn't have to give you probation when I sentenced you. Probation is a privilege. It's not a right. So that was a break. I didn't put you in jail, right? That's 2 breaks right here in this case.
Oh no, another 2 plus 1 plus 1.
And if I transfer you to reporting probation, that's still a break, and that's a 3rd break. So I really don't think you have any grounds to sit here and say, poor me, Kansas is too mean to me.
It is. It really is. If I had a choice, I would move out of Kansas right now, and I would never
How can you say it's mean to you and we're giving you all these breaks and you won't quit violating the law?
Oh, no.
I've been trying to stay out of trouble. I got in trouble once this year for driving, and I was trying to drive home from work.
For this year, you've already gotten in trouble in 2023?
Or not this year, 2022 is what I'm talking about. Sorry, I forgot it's 2023 now. But yes, in 2022, I only got in trouble once. I had not been in trouble
It's probably
ever
early on in
since
2023. That's fine.
Yeah.
all my old cases. I only got in trouble that once in 2022 for driving back in July.
We're not going to keep talking in circles here, and you're not going to
I'm
convince
gonna just
me.
move out of state because I'm done. I'm done dealing with this. I'm moving out of state. I'm moving right now.
Oh no! Don't do that.
Court authority in all your cases to move out. You're not. You're on probation.
You guys ain't coming to get me. I will move out of state.
You supervised probation.
Oh, well, okay.
And you have 30 days to get this all paid.
Sally Port is coming to get you.
Call your probation officer this morning.
I'm not doing any of it. I'm moving out of state. I'm packing my stuff up right now.
You're telling me you're not going to comply with my orders?
Fine, yes, I will. I will apply with your orders.
Good move, bro.
I am going to. Where do you live?
Good move. All right.
Silverwood Apartments.
Silverwood Apartments in El Dorado.
Sally Port's tuned
I
in
am
now.
transferring your probation. You are to call the probation office. And you have 30 days to have this paid in full.
Or else I go to jail.
You either go to jail or you get your probation extended, whichever we decide to do. If you can show me you need more time to pay it, that you've made a good faith effort, I will certainly consider extending it, but you will be in violation of your probation and it'll either be extended or you'll get it revoked and go to jail, one or the other. Because
this is really, really stupid.
So she's giving him 30 days to come back and pay the $600 fee. If he doesn't, his probation could be extended or it could be revoked and he goes back to jail. Which isn't a bad deal if you're to ask me. But at the same time, if he says he could pay $50 a month, I'd at least give him a try with that. And then tell him, you know, if you miss a payment now, this $50 that you promised, I'm putting you in jail. And there ain't no one that you can blame except for yourself. Right? If I was the honorable judge. But she's making it a little bit harder. Pay it by 30 days. And to some people, $600 in 30 days, it's impossible. It just ain't happening.
you have, as I understand it, Mr. Regier, he has violated the law since he was put on this probation in November. And if that is correct, that's a violation of his probation. I understood him to say he got a driving while suspended. Is that right, Mr. Lyman?
Oh, no.
Yes, Your Honor. Because of your stupid ass motherfucking state of Kansas.
Okay.
Oh,
no. In contempt of court.
No, okay, yeah, you can't. Okay, dude, there it is. Oh, Jesus.
You're fucked. Just keep it in. You're almost done.
And there he can't. That's what's so fun. It's so funny to me because, like, if he had just, like, let all these outside words be his inside words, he'd be fine. He'd probably get away.
Stupid ass motherfucking
But
state
no,
of
instead
Kansas.
you have to say all you just did. Jesus fucking God.
Fucked, bro. It's over. GG.
Chat, is this man cooked?
All right, you are in contempt of court.
I've never seen
There
a
it
guy
is.
dunk the smoke, man. He's out of there. Like the Roadrunner, man. Jeez. Sally Port, sorry. Hold on, let me get you out of that. Man, oh man, what a ride today, huh? I swear watching these court cases make me feel a lot better about my situation. Even if I'm not going through a bad situation, it just makes me feel better. Because I lived this life and I remember the pain, the terror, the not...
But yeah, he, there's your detox chat. Watching
That was pretty good.
some crazy people. Like, what did you think about today, Eva? I gotta move myself out of the free gate.
I got very angry and lost respect, or lost a lot of respect for Honorable Judge Cedric Simpson. But as for the palate cleansers, those were top tier.
Oh yeah.
Chef's kiss.
Oh, beautiful. Hope you
But
enjoyed
yeah, I'm
chat.
actually like I'm gonna continue to try and find this this case, the state of Michigan versus John Torres. Should be what it is. But I'll let you know if I find anything on it.
Yeah. I have not been able to find it yet. I don't know why. Just missing. But we'll start looking around, chat. Hope you all have a good day, good night, good evening. And is there anything else you want to touch
See
on?
you
For me?
well, see you later, everybody. No, I'm pretty good.
Awesome. Bye, chat. You guys have a good one. Remember to be good.
Bye, chat.
Oh, I gotta find real quick. Ba-ba-ba-ba. Edit. Customization. Perfect. Oh, Lumi's doing a thing. We'll see you guys to Lumi. Be good for Lumi, chat. Bye-bye.